All right, so we'd like to call to order the Sioux Tribe Election Commission meeting, Wednesday, January 15th. It's just a little past 11 o'clock. So can we start with roll call?
Sure. What?
Here.
Philip
Yep.
and myself, Luann Doherty here.
Okay, would anyone like to do the invocation? Okay. Bonjour, Ani Jemnero. We welcome all those ancestors coming in to guide us and help us with our work that we're going to be doing today. I ask that we remember all that have come before and done this, and learn from what has been done and bring forward some new insight and ways to help our membership in these elections and to make sure that they are being done in a good way and in our way. Miigwech to each direction. Miigwech those spirits from the sky, those from here on earth, under the ground, in the water, those tree families and those rock families that always give unconditionally. And we just ask that we have a good meeting. No. Okay, so do we all have copies of the minutes? So we want to look. Just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ernie makes a motion to approve, and
I'll second.
Luann seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Carried. All right, so on our agenda, we did not have any email or phone votes, so we don't have to go through that. Rescheduling the workshop date with the board of directors. Is that something you have, Ashley, for us?
So we have February 11th or 25th available, or we have March 11th or March 25th available.
For what it's worth, I will not be here March 25th. If you want me present, I will not be here that day.
How does everybody's schedule look? What looks doable for you?
Hang on just a minute.
Are we gonna
Jackie.
get done today, you think? Going through?
I hope so.
I think so. My computer is acting up. I think we got through a big chunk. We only have a few sections left. I imagine we can get through them today.
I personally would like to get through them today. That way we can know how
Yes.
more where we're at.
Yes.
I'm good either day. So any of those days.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good the 11th, not the 25th
A February or March journey.
of February. I'm good any day in March.
Okay, so who's good for February 11th?
Me. I can, and I'll make myself.
Letitia, Ernie,
Me.
Luann,
Yeah.
and Phil. Okay, so do we want to schedule it for February 11th then?
I would suggest that.
That works. Yep.
Okay.
I suppose you don't have estimated time, do you, yet?
It'll be in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay, confirm 2/19/25 with clear ballot. I don't know what that is about, Ryan.
What was that?
So that is, I just reached out. I reached out yesterday and put Commissioner Minton on it. And I think now you have the official cell phone. So hopefully you're getting the elections email. Not that we have any right now, but what we're going to try and set up, they're going to confirm by the end of week that Clear Ballot can do a Zoom meeting with us at our February meeting and run through their software and show us the online demo of how their tabulation software works, how their the user interface for adjudicating the votes works, and all the different kinds of software and hardware that they offer, to see if it's something the commission might want to consider to replace our currently outdated system and software. And if so, then we would discuss that at this level, and then if it's approved here, we would go to the board. And they're also trying to figure out with us, they haven't got to it yet. They're trying to figure out an estimated cost of all in software, hardware, what it would cost. IT sent over all of our current specs for all of our servers, software, and computers. And then they haven't sent it yet, but hopefully by the end of the week when they confirm, they'll also have this. They'll send us a rough estimate of what it would cost the tribe to overhaul our system using their hardware and software. It's what's used in a lot of the federal elections. I think there's like 26 states now that use their software at the state level. And so they're federally certified. It's a really fast, clean software, and it would be much more future-proof than what we have now. So that's what that is about. And hopefully they confirm with Jackie and I by the end of the week, we can have them on the agenda for next month's meeting where they can run through and give their sales pitch and their demo to the commission.
Okay. All right, so next on our agenda, and that is something that we would like to move forward with, correct? Yes. Yep.
The only thing that they can't do, which I know we talked about, is they don't have with their software a way to do online voting. I know it's something the commission was interested in maybe exploring, but there are ways to take their software and we can build our own online portal. So it would still work with their software. They just don't have an actual software that they designed for online. So we'd have to do that in-house and integrate it with theirs. But it's something other companies and other tribes, I think, are doing with this Clear Ballot software. So it is possible. It's just that would be our IT has to figure that out if we go that route.
Have you talked into the IT people, if we can actually do that?
Yeah, we've had preliminary talks with Rob and Fred on whether we can do that. Right now, IT hasn't been putting like a real strategy in place because we were hoping first our website is supposed to be overhauled with a membership portal. And if that takes place, the membership portal would be the conduit which we would set up to do any kind of online surveys, online voting. But I don't have any update or ETA on when that might occur, if it's still going to occur. So we may have to bring IT in and just talk to them about a backup plan. Like maybe our membership portal isn't going to work. Can we still find a way with IT's assistance to do this? And I haven't had those talks yet. We've been just kind of in limbo waiting for the membership portal to be activated, and I don't have an ETA on that. So.
Okay. Can we set up something with them,
With IT?
with IT, to have them come here and tell us what they're going to do?
Yeah, you can put them on your next agenda if you guys want.
I know they have a bad way of fumbling things. I hate saying that, but it'd be nice to hear from them what they can and can't do with the new program.
Yeah, you guys want to get consensus, and we'll have Ashley add it to your next agenda for IT to talk about online voting and specifically online voting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you said we can't do it with the program. Are they qualified enough to put a program like that together to go through?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for IT. I have no idea what their capabilities are, but yeah, let's get them on the agenda if that's the consensus and see what they can workshop with us.
Yeah, I also would like, is there any way that we could put it out so that we have more than just this one company telling us what they can do, but just other other companies, what, what they can do for us with online voting and just with what these guys are going to come talk to us about. Are there any other companies that can come forward that we could ask and see what they can do too, so we get more than just one, and so we get the best price that we can. I mean, because if we're going to do it, it'd have to go out for bidding and everything. So it would just be nice to hear from a few. Is that something that's they're going, is that something that is allowable?
Yeah, we could figure out how to get word out to I'm not sure how many other companies are out there that do exactly what Clear Ballot does. I'm sure there is a few. In 2023, there was an RFP that went out for election services, not a hardware and software company, but just like a company that can help run elections. So we still have some of those contacts. We can reach out to them and see if they know of other Clear Ballot-esque companies. So we do have some of those connections established already, Jackie, that we can reach out to them, and then I'm sure there's a way we could do an RFP or some kind of similar process to put out feelers to other companies that we're not aware of. The reason Clear Ballot came up is Votegrity, the company that helped run the 2023 referendums. They use their software, and RIT was very interested when they saw how that software ran compared to how our software runs. And so IT has flagged that as internally their number one wish list for hardware and software. And I don't know if they've explored other companies, what ones are out there, but we can ask them as well if they know of, if IT knows of any other ones that they've explored. But definitely that's why Clear Ballots towards the top of the list, is RIT flagged them as one that they were interested in, and if we can get him to run that suite of software.
Can I ask you another question?
That's what,
Why
yeah, over here.
can't we update the stuff that we have?
It's an IT question. They do updates, but certain software and hardware gets to a point. Every computer gets to a point where you just can't update it any further, and you get new. And we may be at or past the end of our useful shelf life on what we're using. So that's probably, if I had to guess, the answer. But IT can be more specific.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to request IT to come to our next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Letitia makes motion, second by Ernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I just have a thing here. Anna said March and April for the board. Was there a specific reason for that? So,
Lana and I went through these dates before.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because she knows all the.
I think April was brought up
Yeah,
at one time because we thought we'd have a better handle on our revisions of Chapter 10.
I think part of the discussion, Luann, was that if we would already have membership issue input, do we want to do 2 separate meetings with the board? One just to go over what they wanted to, the reschedule, and then another one scheduled more closer to April for the issue of the Chapter 10 revisions. And I think we should split it because that's going to be a long, drawn out process.
Okay.
I
think that's where the conversation went.
All right, so now then we're on to membership input session dates.
I'm sorry, guys. I have a question for the commission. If we're bringing RIT in on February, do you still want to bring Clear Ballot in on that same day, that same agenda, or do you want to push it to the next agenda and talk to RIT first?
I think we need to talk to our IT first because they probably got a lot of knowledge. They've already. What do you think?
It's hard for me to.
I would say
without
to
Robin.
take the ITs in first. I would like
We could
like
do
Jackie says, why do we only have one place that we're checking on? It'd be nice to know if there's different places and what would the cost be to update our system, if we can. I don't want to really talk about that in front of Clear Choice.
Yeah, well, we can also do it where in the beginning of the agenda is IT, and towards the end of the agenda is Clear
That'd be a good
Ballot.
idea.
So you have time. You're
Okay.
not like Clear Ballot's not hanging out with us during
Yeah.
they're just at the end of the agenda. We could do it that way.
That'd be
I-
good.
I think, like, you told us that IT is familiar with Clear Ballot. They really like the way that goes, and it runs. But yeah, to check out some other places, companies that do the same thing. And if we talk to IT first, they'd be able to tell us, they'd be able to kind of walk us through what they really like. And so that then when we meet with any other companies, we would know that, well, they're not able to do what IT is, put forward and let us know they really liked about that other program. So I think it would be helpful if we did IT first.
And to answer your question, Phil, on why I think I maybe already alluded to it or stated it, but the Emergency Election Commission back in 2023 asked IT to do some research on updating either in-house or finding a new software. And I'm not going to speak to all their research or who they looked at, who they didn't, but Clear Ballot came to the top of their list, and they told the Emergency Commission at the time, if we can get this software, this is what we want. That's as much as I know about why Clear Ballot's at the top. And I do know they are a hell of a software suite. They're probably super expensive, but it wouldn't be a bad choice. I don't personally know what else is out there.
I know, don't we have a new CEO for,
CIO, no,
I thought we did.
they stepped down.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So we have the same one again?
No, they're in the process of looking for a new one. So that's why the whole membership portal is kind of stalled and things like that until this new CIO.
So they don't
is
have a
hired.
boss right now.
We got a boss.
They got a
Yeah,
boss,
and Clear Ballot is just going to do a demo. It's not like we have to decide that day, right? This is just to get us and the commission familiar with their
Familiarized,
software
yeah.
and continue that relationship. And then obviously we can look for other.
In the future.
And certainly, you're the commission. If you hear or do your own research and find something that you want the staff to help you explore, like let us know. We don't always have time at the staff level to do all that research, but certainly if you guys hear of a software or a company or do your own research, bring it to us so we can help you explore them, and we can set up that relationship too.
So would it be advantageous to meet with the next meeting, meet with IT, see what they have, and then bring in with IT still here? There's certain individuals that would be like Rob and Fred. And then when we meet with Clear Ballot, they're also there to ask and answer questions that we might not think about because we're not IT experts. So doing it all in one thing would actually be, I think, beneficial to
Yeah.
everybody.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend, going along with that is, having IT here for that portion we talked to Clear Ballot, because they will know things to ask that I certainly wouldn't.
I'm pretty savvy, but I ain't that savvy.
They know their equipment, so.
They know the equipment, they know the capability of our internal systems better than we even would know. So
Yeah, that's why I think that IT should be in when we meet with and all of the all companies, because they know the questions we don't know, and they know the capabilities of our system. So
I think that's what we should do. I do think, not knowing what the price tag is, I think it's a great time for the commission to bring forward. I think the board is ripe for the discussion of wanting to overhaul our system, whether that is, the Chapter 10 revisions, obviously, but also like the software and hardware. I think this board is going to be very receptive to that. So I'd like to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. And I think right now there's enough on the board that are wanting to modernize so I think it's a good time for us to do it. They want to modernize our elections, and this is one avenue to do that.
So do you think we should set a deadline for the next meeting for those of us commissioners that are going to look or do some investigating or search for other companies that we could have those names in at the next meeting so it's not all long dragged out and we can just get on it?
I think that's a good idea.
All right, then.
But so for the
let's do
next
that.
meeting, you want IT and clear ballot here. I just want to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
But let's stagger them. So our internals towards the beginning and then
We
the
have
other
to
one.
Find out if they can be here.
They still have to confirm with us that they're available. Matt is the contact I've been emailing, and he said that he thinks they can do the 19th, but he's going to confirm by end of week for certain.
Okay.
I would try to time about 1:00. Are they on the East Coast or West Coast, Ryan? You're
Good
not sure.
question. I think they're
I think 1:00.
they're
would
West
be-
Coast, but I don't.
So that would be not real early for them either. So, and then we'll have anytime between 11 and 1 to meet with IT, depending on how.
So we're gonna be here late then, on that day.
February 19th,
Possibly, yeah.
probably.
Or we can move the commission meeting to noon. I mean, it's up to you guys, but I'm thinking the West Coast aspect.
We don't know.
I'll double check what they're a
noon.
nationwide company. I don't know where this staff is actually where they are physically located. They might not be West Coast. That's in my head right now, but I'll double check on that. I'm not 100%.
That's the only thing you have to think about when we do those meetings of where, and it's a technological company, so how many are more on the West Coast than the East Coast?
Yeah, and the last company we worked with on the West Coast, and I don't know if I'm sure Clear Ballot would be accommodating, but they were time differences aside, they were very accommodating. They even got up at like 7 a.m. their time to meet with us. Like if they want to do business with us, they'll be flexible as long as we're flexible. So
Sounds like they're in Virginia.
that might be.
And then there you go.
Of course, that doesn't mean that the reps are in Virginia.
Right.
You said they're certified by Virginia.
Yeah, I sent the commission some links and some attachments that Clear Ballot had sent our IT that you guys can look through if you haven't yet. But definitely, yeah, check out their website. I can't remember if they sent it to us, but there's also they have links to some of the states that they worked with, and you can actually go on to some of the state portals and you can see all the votes, you can see all the adjudication. There's a lot of, they're a very transparent company. There's a lot of stuff out there in those links that I sent you and from their website that you can link to, and you can get a good feel even before the demo of what their software can do.
All right, are we ready to move on to membership input session dates? Okay, so what are we looking at with that? That's a huge process.
Yeah.
So
Where are we at?
I think April would look like a good time if we can get through today. That's then have the final draft for us to review, or not the final draft, but the second draft. February, March, then we can finish our little touches that we want, and then we'll have something to present to the membership.
we're gonna
If you
meet.
think of different, I'm just throwing out things.
We're gonna meet with the board on February 11th. And they'll have input,
Yeah.
and then that would give us March to go through all of that. And then start in the spring.
Maybe better travel too.
Are we traveling?
Well, for if the members want to, if they want to, I'm just saying.
Oh, Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely need to have this put out.
Yeah.
At least a month ahead.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the end of April, by the way, not beginning of April. Just throw that out there.
April Fool's Day.
I don't go anywhere on April Fool's Day.
April 16th is our regular meeting date. Would you want to do it on that day?
We're going to have, there's going to be several, so, I mean, that could be included. How many input sessions do we plan on having? Why don't we start with how many we plan on having?
Well, we gotta have one
Um,
later for the.
Do we have, will we have one in every unit? I mean, are we going to have one down below? I mean, are we gonna, these are questions we need. And
Yeah.
maybe they aren't questions that we are going to, because I don't even know, I don't know what's in this budget.
Yeah, I would have to
is
check with
this all
Lana.
gonna be Zoom,
yeah.
all these things. Some people, I know a lot of are not comfortable doing Zoom. And it's convenient for, so these are all questions we need to find out. We need to
I know.
figure
So we
out.
can schedule 1 or 2 in April just to start with, and we can see where we're at that maybe. Or I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas, Jackie. I'm not set on anything.
No, I'm just thinking I'd like to do more than 1 or 2 because I just don't want this to be all long and drawn out.
I know. Where do you
Yeah.
where do you
We
go?
need to
How
find a
far do you
happy
go?
medium.
Where do you end? But I'm thinking if we do just one actually portion of our of our actual agenda on the 16th, and then maybe schedule an afternoon or evening one on the next week after that. And then that give us some more judgment of the interest in it.
People that work.
Yeah, to give them an opportunity also.
Do we want to set a like a 6-week period to do all of the input sessions in, or do we want to do 4 weeks or 6 weeks? So these are the questions. What's the time frame?
And we can just have the discussion and say we're looking at the end of April, beginning of May, 4 to 6 week time frame, and then we'll get with Ashley and get with Lana. And we can actually hash where we can have them, and that we'll have more coming back on the 19th maybe.
And I think we should, this is something we should bring up with the board of directors when we meet with them,
That's a good idea too.
because
They
they'll
always
want
got
input.
stuff going on. So.
Well, I mean, they can be there. They don't have to be there. I mean, that'll be their choice. We'll be there. But they can, they have some input on, how we're going to do these meetings because they've done them.
And maybe that's
several
the thought
times.
process. We wait till after the 11th. And then, like I said, this is discussion that we're trying to kind of thing, and then have the final set dates on the 19th we can look at.
So we're having the 11th for the first one?
No, the 11th, for February 11th meeting with the board.
Yeah. So this is
okay.
something we want to bring up to the board is, this is what we are thinking. And, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see done?
And at the very tentative least, we can still schedule the April 16th for an hour just to people who are here actually. That way we don't do just thinking about it farther ahead. But I mean, we have plenty of time to discuss that too. Plus the weather's better to travel, not lying. I'm sure y'all appreciate it too.
What? Say that again.
The weather's going to be hopefully a little bit better.
Yeah. It wasn't bad today. It was worse last time. It wasn't bad today at all.
So,
I say we just put this off till to the 19th, because then we'll.
and everyone, you can just think of what your questions are in doing these input sessions.
Yep.
All right, so we are going to come up membership input session dates. We will all just think about, you know, time frame, how we would like it to be done, what we think will work, what we think won't work. And then we can discuss with the board when we meet with them on what their input is.
Now we're talking about for chapter 10, right? Or just membership input for the election overall?
Oh, I believe that was just chapter 10 we were talking
This is
about.
just
Yeah.
chapter
Chapter
10.
10.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we
I'm-
broadened it a little bit.
I'm sure we'll get input in general, but
Yeah.
what we want to seek specifically is their thoughts on our ongoing draft of chapter 10. And then other thoughts, of course, we can take that input and see how we can integrate it if we can. And eventually we got attack chapter 11, 12, the referendum one too.
14.
14 is parliamentary rules.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's
sorry.
12. My brain's a little foggy still. But whatever referendum chapter, we do have to, after we clean up chapter 10, we're going to have to, it won't take as long, but we will have to clean up some of the referendum chapter as well, because that's how we do all the referendum elections. We have to make sure our changes to chapter 10 that affect 12 are carried over. So that will be a much easier
Yeah, it's
lift.
12.
That'll be much easier than chapter 10. But I just want to flag that we will have to also clean up chapter 12 to make sure they incorporate any of our changes from chapter 10 that we implement.
Do we have to put this on the internet before because the people on Zoom and stuff, they might want to read up on this before we have our meetings, right?
Last time in 23, when the board was doing their input sessions to the current chapter 10, they posted a version on chapter 10 online, and they even set up like a poll where you could do poll feedback. An outside company handled that for us, but we could use SurveyMonkey, or there's a way internally that we can do that again. Yeah.
So that's what we have to come up with that too before we have these meetings.
Or in conjunction with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be. We can ask IT in February.
Uh-huh.
But that should be something that's fairly easy to throw together. There's lots of like SurveyMonkey and other type of companies out there that we can quickly get a poll together, post our chapter 10 and get email and online feedback that way. We did that in 23. So.
Okay.
All right. Is there any more discussion on membership input session dates? Okay, let's move on to set date, time to shred, clear out old files, and discuss the room relocation, because they're remodeling here at the casino, so we're gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm not sure exact date and when that phase is gonna occur, but one of the phases in the construction is this wing of everything, which will include like this room and our storage room, that bar area back there, all that part of the casino. So we're gonna lose that space, at least temporarily. So we need to figure out. It used to be a space in admin that had all the election files, so we can explore if there's room to move everything over there. But we will have to find, and we'll help you. We'll put the feelers out on what rooms we could use. But we will have to relocate all of our files. But before we relocate, we can now shred under code. We can now shred all the stuff from last election, and there's stuff in there from the referendum elections in 23 that just haven't been shredded because they were being held on to because we were waiting on the Court of Appeals decision, which came down in the middle of our last election. We just haven't set a time yet with you all to clear that out. So we go in there, we'll clear out all the old files that could be shredded, keep whatever we need to that might be in there that is for archival purposes, and then figure out with IT and facilities and admin where we can start to potentially relocate. Like all of our servers are in that room, everything that our IT uses to do our tabulation. So we got to find a new house for all that. But the first step would be set a date with the commission so you guys can go through, and I'll be there to assist. We'll go through and get everything ready for shredding that can be destroyed now per the chapter 10.
Do we have a large shredder, or do we have a company
It's a
that comes in?
A company comes
Shredded?
in, yeah.
Probably.
The first and third Wednesday of every month they come in.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, the first and third Wednesday?
I think
Or
yeah,
Thursday?
it's something like that. So
Um,
and we don't need the whole commission there, but those of you who are available, like if we have a few of you and a few staff members, like we can easily probably take care of it. We don't need necessarily all 5 of you to be present if traveling is an issue, but you know, 2 or 3 of you there and 2 or 3 staff, we should be able to handle it. So.
If there's no snowstorm.
Where do we do that? Right here?
We would we would just do it in
Back there.
the back room.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something you need to do on camera. You're
Oh,
you're literally
I mean, the machine that they use to shred. I
no.
mean,
So what we do is we take all the paperwork and put them in giant bags,
Oh, you put.
and
you don't
then
have a bin?
the company comes and takes them and they shred them for
The
us.
shred.
We don't like have to feed a shredder or anything.
And then they also, depending on because I think the health center has one that is actually attached to the truck. So they watch it go into the truck
Yes.
and then get shredded right there. Somebody just watches
Yeah.
it get shredded and it's all encompassing. It looks like a huge, garbage truck.
It does.
basically.
Yeah.
It's like a
Slash
box
semi.
truck.
He literally comes in with a locked garbage thing,
Yeah.
puts everything in it, locks it, takes it out to the truck, unlocks it, dumps
Then
it.
we have to watch.
So we can watch it
so
out
we
at the
can watch
truck
it out
too.
there.
Yeah.
You should watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can and
Yeah.
should watch
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We don't want nobody online saying we didn't do our job. At least
Right.
the best of our ability.
That's the kind of the last thing we have
Okay.
to take care of. So for the election, correct?
so when do we want to schedule that?
Well, it depends on when they're going to do the construction.
It's going to be a while.
Is it
not
gonna be
anytime
a while?
soon. So you could do it in March. There's not a rush on it, but we should do it March or April. That way it's cleared out and ready. And before we know it, we're gonna be in front of the board asking them to adopt whatever revision to chapter 10, and then 26 elections on top of it. It's gonna be here before we know it. So
The only caveat, Ryan, is there's construction downstairs at admin. So I don't think we could relocate, but we definitely have to
away.
do shredding.
yeah, and I don't even know where an admin is available right now.
That's the
Or-
problem. That's what I'm saying. Like we wouldn't even have a fine. We
Well,
wouldn't
they'll
even
find
know
us
where to
somewhere,
go.
Somewhere. I mean, it doesn't
Somewhere.
have to be an admin. I mean, even if it was somewhere else here, you
Mhm.
know, just for cameras.
Yeah, it just has to be a secure location that just the commission and the necessary staff, like
Wow.
Ashley
You guys
has
will put the feelers out on that.
Yeah, we've already. I think Lana's already started to put the feelers out on potential areas we can relocate. I just don't know them offhand where they might be.
Well, and I think part of it, like I said, part of it is because they had to relocate staff upstairs to do the downstairs renovation. So I think,
Downtown, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's going to be, I don't care where it is. I'm just saying that's part of it.
I don't care where it is. I mean, I care to the extent where I want it to be fairly convenient for staff and commission members to get to it. Otherwise, as long as it's a secure place that only you all have access to, then I don't really care where it is.
Yeah,
So
I don't-
Ashley, can you find out when we can have the shredder people come in March, and then we can set up a date in March so we can do it?
Wouldn't it be better to do it as soon as we can
It would,
and get
I-
it out of the way?
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. If we can set up in February to do it, yeah.
that'd be the best option.
We got a lot of stuff
Get
in
it out of the way,
February.
yeah. Get that out of the way, then we don't have to worry about it.
Whatever day works for you all, and we'll coordinate as best we can.
They have a bonfire out parking lot.
Oh, just burn it all on camera.
Josh killed our fun with bonfires.
Oh, you did?
did.
There's a
Blame
fire
Josh,
pit
he's not
out
here to
there,
defend
isn't
himself.
That's why I said it.
there?
You said they can shred when?
I think
I believe it's the first.
we think it's the first and third Wednesday of every month.
First and third?
Okay.
I have a sticky note on my computer back in my office.
And do they come to this building?
Yeah, he'll come right in.
Yeah, they come. Yep.
He'll come right in, haul it all out, shred it
Okay.
right there.
We just have to look at it.
So we
first.
may even be able to do it at our next meeting. Right before or right after our next meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Just get it out of our hair.
An hour early or an hour late.
Well, we're gonna be here out late that day anyways, it sounds
Oh.
like.
Isn't that when they're coming to talk to us?
Yeah, maybe.
It might be. It might. Yeah, you might be setting yourselves up for a long day that 19th. But yeah, you can start earlier, like Jackie said. People that can get here early, we could start doing the shredding, getting all that together earlier.
But then we're dependent on them to get here on time so we can get in here on time. So I don't know if that's a good idea, but whatever.
But if you get everything ready for shredding, and even if it's not the day that the shredder is going to be here, you can have the more local commissioner members, like maybe the chair and Tish, and then Ashley and I, and we can have at least 4 people that are closer to the Sioux that can get eyes on the actual shredding and not make everyone have to travel for the shredding day, but you're all there for the day where we get ready for shredding. Does that make sense? There's multiple ways we can
Yeah,
attack it.
yeah. All right. So are we all finished discussing
Ready?
shredding and files and room location? Okay, on to grievances or complaints pending. And I asked for this to get put on the agenda because I just want to make sure that we do not have anything pending at all, that we have taken care of everything. If there's anything we need to take care of, we should be doing that. And I mean, and some of this is in relation to the past before we even got here. Are we responsible for taking care of any of that?
So everything that came up during the 2023 referendum that the Emergency Election Commission handled, all those complaints, grievances, appeals, etc., are all finalized and done. Nothing this commission needs to take care of. Everything from the 2024 election has all been adjudicated by this commission and the Court of Appeals. Everything is done. We haven't had anything new that I've seen pop up. So you don't have any pending grievances, complaints, court cases, appeals. All that has been resolved. So there's nothing right now on your docket.
So everything's been taken care of from the 2022 election?
Yep. That the special election. That's the regular election, the special election,
Yeah,
the referendum elections, and the most recent general election. Everything has been resolved. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have anything.
And I just realized I was going to send you guys the most recent Court of Appeals opinions. I apologize. I will get those to you this week, just so you have copies. They're on our website, but it's hard to navigate our website. So I'll just pull them down and get them to you, just so you have them and can read at your leisure. Because
Okay.
the ones that are specifically affect our ongoing discussions of Chapter 10, which are going to be like the 2 or 3 most recent. So I'll send those to the commission.
We're on to chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Gotta find it.
All right, I will try to share my screen here. My internet is going kind of wonky.
What's that? Did we?
Ethernet.
I was gonna say, does this work for yours?
You got a lot of.
Yes.
Did I
this
bring the
that'll be
right
better.
copy here? This isn't the one with all my writing on. Ooh.
Are we on write-in candidates?
We were, yes, Jackie. That's where we left off.
Okay, just a minute. What page is that, Jackie?
19, not 119.
19?
19. I'm just adding page numbers.
Come on.
This
There we
isn't the right one.
1019.
I know I got the wrong copy though. Please.
If I can make this bigger without cropping everything off.
You better have Ashley do it.
Younger generations know how to do technology. Okay. I'm ready when the commission's ready.
Okay, you ready?
10.117, write-in candidates, write-in votes are not permitted in any election.
Discussion?
Pretty clear cut.
Yep, okay. Move forward.
10, excuse me, 10.118, primary elections. In the event that the number of eligible nominated candidates for any office exceeds twice the number of offices to be filled, the Election Commission shall conduct a primary election for that office. The purpose of the primary election shall be to reduce the number of candidates so that the number of candidates for each office shall be no more than twice the number of offices to be filled. When you read some of these out loud, you realize how legalese they're written. Maybe part of what we can go through and try and make this more simple English too.
That would be very nice.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah, as I'm reading it out loud, it feels like more of a mouthful. Any comments on that subsection? Besides, maybe we want to reword this so it's a little less legalese, a little more plain English. So if we have like 2 positions that are available, 2 seats open, and we have like 10 candidates for those 2 seats, we have to do a primary to narrow it down to just the 4 candidates. Is what it's saying, but it's worded in a.
That would be nice to word it like that. I understood you, but I didn't understand that.
I'll make a note to reword this to more, I don't know, simple English, I'll call it. I think
Layman's term.
layman's terms, there you go. Layman's terms, no legalese. Whatever. I think that the intent still works. We would want to hold primaries for those scenarios, but make it more clear to everyone how it works. Subsection 2, primary elections shall be conducted under the procedures generally applicable to the elections conducted under this chapter. 3, only the candidates who appear on the list of eligible candidates by the Election Commission pursuant to section 10.110, subsection 2, shall be listed on the ballot for primary elections. 4, primary election ballots shall be mailed to registered voters not later than 56 days before the date set for the general election. Returned ballots must be returned to the designated postal service and received by the Election Commission not later than close of business 35 days before the date of the date set for the general election.
Well, that was some really good English there.
Yeah, so I'll make note.
Yeah.
Reword this, clean up. But also I'll make our ongoing note that this is also flagged for trying to figure out different timelines, maybe that.
Longer time.
Yeah, because that's
Hand it out.
the mail takes longer now.
Besides those 2 that we have been flagging, is there any other discussion on those sections?
Okay.
Subsection 5, the candidates in the primary election equal in number to twice the number of offices to be filled in the general election, which receive the greatest number of votes, shall be named as candidates on the general election ballot.
I know how it's supposed to work, but that's weird.
Yeah, what you just.
When you read it, it's been a while since I read this out loud. When you read it out loud, it really,
Let's see.
it just feels it's overly convoluted language that just is unnecessary in 2025. So.
And did they do it on purpose?
Yeah, I don't want to
Did
speak.
they make this hard for people to read?
So only
Only a legal
attorneys
scholar
would
knows it.
understand.
No, if you just slow down and you can figure it out.
Yeah, if you look at it, I think most people could figure it out, but it doesn't have to be worded it can be worded in a much easier, straightforward way, right?
Yeah, if it just said the two candidates receiving the most.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Move on to the general.
Number 6, if only one candidate is eligible at the time of the expiration of the contest period following the posting of eligible candidates pursuant to section 1085D
G.
G, that candidate shall be declared elected for the purposes of the general election.
See, that's wordy too.
Right, this
God.
Well, we knew this was gonna.
right. So after the primary, after the contest period, if we only have one candidate that's eligible, they're running unopposed and they're considered elected. Is basically what this says.
Yeah.
Which
But
Do you
where-
did we still put him on the general ballot after that?
Or they know you
I
have.
think in the past they did.
So that's kind of where I'm wondering if that's even
Necessary anymore?
kinda.
I would think it'd still be necessary.
They would just be on the general ballot and then they'll just get the votes then.
Yeah.
That's how you would handle the general, but I don't think it needs to be in the primary. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah, I see what you're
If they're
saying.
unopposed, there would be no need for a primary.
well, that's the other flip. So why would you even have this unless they did needed primary and the two other people were got a contest out,
This appears to be
but a carryover from something else?
maybe because if you had a primary and then you had these two people won the primary and then for some reason
One of them got out.
candidate 2 is no longer eligible,
But wouldn't you go to the candidate 3?
then this would trigger.
But then they
Yeah,
can't.
this might not be in the right section. Let's flag it. I don't know why this doesn't appear to have a practical use for the primaries.
So that's
This is more like the nomination eligibility section, because if there's only one candidate, why would you have a primary? I'm not sure the purpose of it, why it's in this section. That's a good.
we're gonna flag it for
Further.
verification. Want to put?
Further review.
And then, like I said, if they're running unopposed, Ernie's right, they wouldn't have a primary. So why would they even necessarily need to be in this?
Yeah,
Because by the time they
And-
get to the primary, they've all been checked out.
unless there's some weird scenario where there's a primary and then, well,
Rob the bank.
yeah, well, in the past it would have been, then they got committed of a felony or convicted of a felony, which we don't have that prohibition anymore. And that really weird scenario would have triggered this in the past, because then
Maybe
they're
that's
But they
why
still would put him
eligible.
on for the general election. You still would move on. That one person would then become unopposed for the spot.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out things like I just don't.
Yeah, so those are good. This is a weird section to.
Well,
It
we
may
got-
not even be necessary.
more
If it
pages
is,
here,
it's definitely
guys.
not in the right spot.
we won't get done.
I feel like it should probably be more appropriate language like this up where we're talking about how you're eligible to be a candidate or
Yeah.
how you're nominated to be a candidate. That makes more sense than being in the primary section.
But then turn around in the primary, say, but then you win the general election. You win the primary. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that scenario, you'd win your primary and you're still unopposed in the general, so you'd win both seats by default, right?
Yeah, you'd win by default. You're the only one.
If you're the only one.
I don't know, Ryan. I'm just saying.
No, I'm glad. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't really know why this is in this section.
And aren't we supposed to discuss, like what deems people like not eligible? I mean,
Oh, that's
that was back in 104
Yeah.
G. I mean, but
That's probably something we can go on the second
pass.
pass through.
yeah. I mean, we did talk about discussing that, but
Don't believe I was
We'll have
here
to
for
do
that
that,
discussion
yeah.
either. So
Yeah, and we had talked about on our first pass, I know I have to scroll up to see exactly what we flagged, but we did flag several parts of the eligibility
Yeah.
section, and the commission wanted to get feedback from the membership on that as well. But I think one of the sections we flagged is one that the board removed in 23 was the felony prohibition is one that
Oh,
we
yeah,
flagged
yeah.
for further discussion.
I don't know where it is.
And I think we flagged like the residency section as one for further discussions. Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
We didn't
'cause I
talk
have
about
it
it.
in
We,
there.
we just didn't come up with the new language yet because we were going to get more feedback and do it on our second pass. But we did. You're right, Jackie. We did flag those areas above.
Yeah, because we got a little tweak further. Does this need tweaking? A bunch of those.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do from my end too is all of your comments. I'm going to start incorporate like taking those comments and doing a legal department red line
God.
on stuff that how I would, from the attorney perspective, start to change these things. So you can consider that, and then I'm hoping we can use that in conjunction with any of the commission's comments on that, and then add in any of the membership comments and start to really flesh it out. And then, of course, we'll get to the point where we'll talk to the board, and the board will have comments. And then as we, that's kind of my thought process of how this will proceed. So I will write it up based on your comments on how I would suggest maybe changing it for your review, and then we tweak it further based on your comments, tweak it further based on membership comments, tweak it further based on board comments.
There's still a lot of work because we have everything that you had redlined up until 10-16,
Yeah.
but we had it all. There's a lot of work left. Sorry.
Nope. This is what we're here for, right? It's what we're supposed to do. It's what we want to do. I would love to have an almost final version by September, if possible, because by the fall we got to be getting the board close to a vote on changes, or we're just going to be with the current chapter 10. So it's a lot of work, and it's an accelerated
We're
timeline, but
trying to cram into.
we just got to do it, do our best, right?
Yep.
I'm going to move on to 119 if we're ready. Election contest 10.119. Subsection 1, any member may contest the results of an election or decisions of the election commission as provided in this section. All contests must be submitted to the designated representative at the designated office in writing, setting forth the grounds for the contest. The designated representative shall forward all contests to the chairperson of the election commission. 2, all contests regarding voter registration, nominating petitions, or the nomination and eligibility of candidates must be submitted within 3 days of the list of eligible nominated candidates being posted in accordance with section 10.110, subsection 2. 3, all contests related to the tabulation of votes or the results of an election must be submitted within 3 days of the posting of the uncertified results in accordance with section 10.11122, subsection 1.
It's 10.123.
1, 2, 3.
Yep. And in the previous one, it's section 10.111, section 2.
Thank you. Yeah, I've made
So we
note
have
to,
to-
I gotta make sure that all these
Yeah.
sites are right. Thank you. I figured they were not all correct. The only comment I have right now on this is we can change this language to add this, but we do have the elections email set up. It was set up for the referendum, and Boyd used it in 24, and Jackie has access to it now, and future commissioners will have access to it going forward. So we did allow email contests and complaints. So they didn't have to drop it off at the quote designated office. They could drop it off in writing to like the court or to the casino in unit 3, but we can add in language here that because we do accept the electronic submission of complaints, and it's much quicker and easier for the commission that way. And that's how almost, I think 95% of your complaints last year were just sent to Boyd through the email. They weren't even dropped off in person. So I want to add some language,
Oh, okay.
received
Add
at
that?
the
Okay,
designated
yeah.
office or through the designated email or something in writing. Because that matches our current course of business that we do.
Does everybody think the 3 days is still sufficient?
It seemed to me from last election that the 3 days worked. Like I don't know if we need it to be longer. Definitely not shorter, but
What about 1 week?
What do 5 days?
5 days would be a good middle ground. Yeah, the longer you push it, depending on what stage of the election you're in, it can really delay like your tabulation, which is why it's a pretty tight timeline. So I think it should be reasonable. It's still fairly tight. So something like 5, I could get on board with. I don't know if I would do like a whole week. Usually, it seems to me looking at our last election, looking at the referendums, and looking at past elections, the people that submit the complaints get them in like that same day or the next day. Like they don't seem to sit on it. They're ready to let the commission know. Like I see a potential violation here. So I don't know if a longer timeline is necessary because it seems like the membership gets them in a very timely manner based on looking at old records. So, but yeah, I think 5 is very reasonable. We can also tweak it further as we're looking at our overall timelines and as we map it out. If 3 or 5 doesn't make sense for whatever reason, when we are like, because once we do the timeline, I'm gonna try to map it out for you. Like,
So we got
these
longer
days, these things
timelines for
happen.
everything.
Yeah, so we can tweak all these depending on how it starts to look as we visualize the timelines more.
I guess my comment was because we're looking at expanding some timeframes and mailings and everything
Yeah.
else. I'm not saying one way or another about 3 days. I wasn't here last election, so I just want to make sure you guys thought it was working or not.
It worked last time.
Honestly, every single complaint we got was, I don't think anyone waited till that 3rd day. I think they all got them in like within a day or two. That might be just because they knew it was 3 days, so they had to get it in quick, right? But they did.
Also, isn't it the Saturday and Sunday? Like it's on a Thursday night. Well, then they have Friday, and then do they have until Tuesday?
Working
Because it's
days.
3 working days.
Is it? It doesn't say 3 working days, does it? No.
Let me check our definitions
We
quick.
need to make sure.
Boy, I'm gonna start sneezing.
Days. I'm not sure that we define days being calendar days or business days.
I think you guys
That's something I can't find it right now.
we define it more, and I think the notice, because it says it will.
Oh, here it is.
Do you see where I'm saying?
Computing days for this chapter, days shall refer to calendar days. You're right, Jackie. But it does not. If the last day is on a weekend or holiday, then we go to the next day. So we can. Let me flag this to see if we want. As we're talking about timelines, do we want to keep this calendar days or make them business
Work days.
days?
I would like business days.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a
Because
good one.
you don't want to be work. If you get a complaint on a Saturday, you don't want to jump up and say, "Well, I got to take care of this."
Business days, right? Guys?
But that also assists in the 3 days if somebody actually wants to turn it in person. Not everybody.
Wow.
Okay, so I flagged it. Do we want to keep calendar days or business days? Seems right now commission is leaning towards business days, and so we can see how that will affect the overall timeline when we when we map it out.
Have maybe they're gone on the weekend or something. I don't know. They need business.
Yeah, we do have right now that we do have that caveat where if the 3rd day lands on a weekend, they do have that extra day. So at least we have that already built in, so they're not penalized if Sunday's the 3rd day. They can turn it in Monday. But that Saturday would count right now in the calculation. That's a good catch. Sorry, I'm getting back to where we were. Any other comments right now on the contest language?
Okay.
10.120 election complaints. Any member may submit a complaint regarding alleged violations of the election ordinance as provided in this section. All complaints must be submitted to the designated representative at the designated office in writing, setting forth the grounds for the complaint. The designated representative shall forward all complaints to the chairperson of election commission. Allegations of criminal conduct shall be referred to tribal police or the tribal prosecutor. Complaints must be accompanied by written documentation substantiating the allegations. Failure to supply supporting documentation will render the complaint null and void, and it will be dismissed without merit. I'll pause there for a second.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
So-
because what were complaints that we had that were just said, no, there's no proof that happened.
Two or three of them.
Yeah. What's the name of that one guy that did it?
So this section that I'm highlighting, this is new. Well, not new anymore, but this was a revision to the old chapter 10. And the intent of the board was to try to help the committee at the time, kind of filter out those quote frivolous complaints. So someone just says, "Oh, I think Ryan lives in Unit 3, but he's running in Unit 1," but they didn't. That's all they had. Instead of having the committee have to do their own investigation, the onus was on that person complaining to at least have some documentation up front, so the commission can start to analyze this.
Away the signs in the dumpster or something. There was that one.
Oh yeah.
How can we
Frivolous.
prove that?
So I personally, from the legal department, I think this language or something substantially similar is good for the commission to have to help weed out frivolous or meritless complaints. We can tweak it further, but I do
Tweak
think
it.
having some kind of mechanism is important.
I think we should. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back through those complaints and look at them, but I think there's some room for some tweaking in this.
Yeah, and maybe the discussion also in that vein, Jackie, can, from my perspective, we can talk about maybe figuring out how we can set the bar for what types of documentation. Because maybe I just send a complaint and my only documentation is some weird Facebook post from, it's not even my post, it's like some post of a friend of a friend. Is that enough evidence for the commission to spend their time or not? Like maybe we can build better sideboards so it's clear to the membership and clear to the commission what types of documentation need to be submitted. So it's not just like, oh, I found this. I don't know. I keep saying Facebook as an easy one, but I have just this very nebulous, maybe sort of evidence that might show something, but it's really ultimately frivolous and wasting the commission's time. Versus like, I have 5 signed affidavits and a letter from the post office saying that my mail was tampered with. There's a line in between like very hard evidence and very soft evidence, and I don't know yet how to word that, but I think we should kind of workshop how we can work that into the code. So it's not just people finding very, very soft, very weak evidence so the commission has to try to spend their time investigating what ultimately is a frivolous complaint. That was the intent of this language, and I think we can flesh it out more to better serve that intent.
There are no repercussions for frivolous complaints.
No.
And I know that last election, there were a lot of frivolous complaints by the same person, and yet that was continued to allow to happen. And I don't know, it's
Yeah, so in that vein, Jackie, I had recommended to the board in 23 some language that dealt with possible repercussions for frivolous complaints. The language we talked about at that time was pulled from Cherokee Nation, and they have a slightly different system, but basically it put some monetary penalties on if it only was sanctioned if it got to the Court of Appeals, and then the Court of Appeals found that it was frivolous. Like the commission couldn't penalize someone in the language that we workshop with the board, but it was an attempt to build in some kind of repercussion for you just wasting the tribe and the commission's time with frivolous complaints. So I think it's good to have that discussion again and see what language we can come up with to try to doesn't have to be a monetary sanction, but something that would deter people from just flooding us with frivolous complaints like you're talking about. And the board did not like that language, and we didn't have time to really workshop different language. But I think now that we have time, we can talk about what other language we can maybe build into Chapter 10 that keeps the due process for people to be able to complain, and protects the tribe and the commission and everyone from having to be bogged down with clearly frivolous complaints if someone's just every week flooding Jackie's inbox with stuff that on its face is frivolous, right? I don't know.
If somebody has a vendetta against somebody, they could keep sending it.
And it can be different levels of, it can be something that we build in the code that shoots back to the sanction schedule that you guys have the ability to adopt. And there can be different sanctions for a candidate who is abusing it versus a tribal member who isn't abusing it. There can be different levels of enforcement, right? Maybe it's a higher bar and a more stringent penalty or sanction on a candidate who is misusing this than it is just a tribal member who's misusing it, who doesn't have the same.
We didn't have any
Funds
luck
or
with
whatever.
our sanctions last time.
We didn't use them very much. No, we didn't
A
really.
couple times.
Just a couple
and
times.
The same person, and they got deep out of it, so I don't know.
So
So is that's an area that we are red flagging,
Sounds like
that
it.
we, just to look at wording?
yeah, and
for-
We're tweaking.
I'll bring some when I go through my red lines. I will give the commission multiple options in some of these sections of different scenarios that I think would be viable, and then you can workshop them. But I do think having some stronger language to continue to deter frivolous claims, so you can focus on the ones that actually have merit, is something I would recommend fleshing out more.
We're not on to 2. All complaints must be submitted.
You're never going to get rid of all the frivolous complaints. People are
No.
always gonna. There's always the potential someone's gonna try to bog the commission down with stuff that is ultimately a waste of time. That's just the nature of elections. But we can try to put as much sideboards on it as possible. Right?
Yeah, it's continuing to go on.
2, all complaints must be submitted within 3 months of the occurrence of the conduct alleged to be in violation of the election ordinance. 3, all findings of election commission regarding any complaints or contests shall be published to the tribe's website once the decision has been finalized in writing.
Can we go back to 2 for a second, Ryan?
Yep.
I don't know how to word this, but if it could be only done X amount of months after or X amount of time after the certification of the election.
Instead of the occurrence of the conduct.
Yeah, because
Wait.
the whole election season is give or take 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And if the occurrence happened 90 days and 91 days, but it's still pretty grievous, we would still have time to rectify the issue if we did X amount of time after the final certification of the results. I don't know. What do you think? So if something happens on the first day, like you'd have the whole election cycle, and then X amount of time after. I don't know the answer to it, but I'm just thinking out loud here.
Mhm.
Because in reality, if something happened the night of election is certified in within 2 weeks, I'm just throwing out numbers, you would still have 3 months to come back and reevaluate that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on that one.
So you wouldn't have you couldn't certify the election because you had that open.
But if nobody,
Well,
all complaints have to be submitted within the 3 months. You can certify it, and then a month and a half later, somebody can come and say, "Oh, by the way, I found all these violations, and here's my complaint." I'm just throwing out
Mhm.
scenarios that I could see being used
Right.
to
What
interfere
if
with governance.
What if we have a candidate who at the beginning of the cycle? Well, I guess that wouldn't matter. Never mind.
Bad.
Because you could do it anytime up until the certification.
But again,
So if we have someone that we've certified, we've seated them, and but then a bunch of evidence comes to light, someone files a contest. If we do that, we'd have to talk about building a mechanism for vacating that seat if it rises to that level potentially, right?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of just saying 3 months from the occurrence of the conduct, but our election cycle is 6 months, and you don't get the evidence till 4 months after it issued.
Mm-hmm.
You can't complain about them, and they could be seated in actuality.
Right. No, I understand.
I'm not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. I'm looking at all case scenarios. When you have an election cycle that's 6 months old, I don't know if 3 months of the occurrence of the Again, what if they were what if you found proof they were campaigning prior to the notice of election?
Right, but we found out 5 months after the fact. Now there's no mechanism for anyone to do anything, and we have someone who
Violated code,
violated the code, and now they're seated on the board.
or not even could be possibly elected on the board, and they haven't even been seated. I mean, there's many of different scenarios of the 3 months.
Right, and then under the current scenario, then the only recourse the membership has is a removal petition. If they're seated on the board and they can't do a complaint or contest, they have to do a removal petition.
But how hard's a removal right now?
Yeah, I mean it's a high bar to meet.
I'm just throwing out scenarios. This is where this passed.
Yeah, like kind of like our version of an impeachment, I guess, sort of. So in the scenario that Tish is bringing up, we have someone who violated code, and I want to complain about it, but I didn't gather my evidence till 5 months after they did it,
And they've already made.
and now they're on the ballot, and maybe they're gonna win their seat. So I don't have a way to bring to the commission's attention. I can bring it to your attention, but you have to dismiss it. I missed my timeline. So now this person's running, and it appears they have potentially violated Chapter 10 based on the evidence I gathered. I have no recourse. The commission has no recourse. The only thing I can do now as a member is wait till to see if they won their election, and then I have to do a removal petition and say it was because of the violation of Chapter 10. And so we're discussing whether we want to tweak this to allow for there to be more recourse for the membership and the commission to take action, and that we don't have right now under our current Chapter 10. But it's also one of your functions. This is part of the commission's function, and in that scenario, even if it's maybe a low percentage scenario, right now as it's worded, I don't want to put words in Tish's mouth, but it could be where your hands are tied, where you can't do anything. And is it better to tweak this so you can potentially try and do something if the allegations are substantiated, instead of right now doing nothing if the window is missed and this person who may have clearly violated Chapter 10, or at least the allegations are that they did, and they got to run and get away with it, I think is what the scenario we're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Separation of powers would help too.
Well, not too. But what I would do and how I would rule is somebody came to me. Well, that's another point I was going to make. I did make this point to Ryan. Instead of months, we need to do 90 days, 180 days. Just
Oh yeah, make that consistent throughout.
make that consistent, because 3 months, if you do February, March, and April, is totally different than if you do July, August, and September. and it comes to me in 91 days, I will look at it, look at this part of the chapter, and I would vote to dismiss it without even looking at it because they missed their window.
Mhm. I think I'd have to. I can't.
I don't have an
I can't visualize it right
answer per
I'd, ha-
se.
I'd have to kind of map it out and see what it looks like if we did a like 3 months or whatever, 90 days after the certification of the election results and what ramification that might have. Maybe it's
I'm
none.
not-
Maybe it's
like-
none. I don't. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just pointing out where I could see issues.
Or if you keep it the occurrence of the conduct alleged, you could do what you suggested, or you could just make this longer within
Yeah.
5 months, within 180 days.
That's
they
what I'm
get
saying. I don't know that. I just don't think the 3 months when you have a 6-month election cycle is a proper time frame.
Yeah, nope, I hear you.
I'm not saying you should X amount of days after the certification. I'm just saying that the announcement's the third Monday for Friday in January. I can't remember.
Yeah, so Thursday.
Thursday, and then you're not seating anybody till end of June,
Yeah.
and you only have 3 months to complain about an alleged violation.
Well, you also have those people that, they're telling everyone they're running, but then they don't file until March 22nd. And meanwhile, they've done,
Yeah, there's many a
oh my
scenario.
God. Yeah. I mean, we had that last time.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, maybe he's right. The
but
180
I think
days.
at the least, we should change 3 months to 90 days because of because wonder if we do have a special election that ends in the end of January. It's not always going to end in the end of June. So I think that's a really good.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I forgot to bring that up last time. Sorry.
no, that's good. This is
Slacker.
great. This is good. Why do you keep apologizing to us?
I don't know. I feel like I'm.
No, that's
No,
I meant to say it earlier. That's why.
No, I think that's great. Tweaking
Yeah.
this timeline is I don't see any issues with that. Just figure out how we want to tweak it. But giving people more opportunity in general is I don't think in general is not a bad thing. Keeping the ability to make complaints while protecting the interests of the candidates is always that balance, but erring on the side of more opportunity for a member to file their complaint, especially in those scenarios where it might be a very egregious violation of Chapter 10, instead of locking them out of that is important, I think.
inclusive.
You guys still like publishing all of our written opinions to the website? That's number 3.
Yeah, because that's what people go to look for it.
If there's
Are you
Just
cold?
like they aren't even publishing our meetings anymore on there.
Did this last meeting not
Nope,
get?
it
Oh,
doesn't.
you mean the video afterwards?
No, I mean, just at the meeting, people are asking me, how come it's not published?
December's wasn't.
December's wasn't? Okay. We'll clean that up with
But
communications.
Yeah, they're gonna look at your
They're
red
looking
line.
at every
I
single
think
thing.
you should put it out there.
I guess
Oh, yeah.
I guess I assumed the commission was gonna have it posted. That was maybe presumptuous on my part, but I assumed that's what you guys wanted to do. So.
Well, no, that gives them
Yeah, no, I think that's
a point of
definitely.
reference. If we've already kind of changed it, so you don't have to argue about it or whatever.
Well, so
Well,
they
that's
can
how we
see
get
what
their
it is.
decisions.
Yeah, and then they can say, well, wait a minute. What
Yeah.
about this?
Even though the board only did one input session in 23,
Yeah.
I still felt like it was valuable. We got there wasn't a lot of people, but there was a lot of feedback, probably like 40 to 60 people in our membership sent feedback, but a lot of it was really good, and the board had it all as they were going through Chapter 10. So I think it can be a valuable tool, and definitely they need to see the red line so they can know what they're commenting on, right?
Yeah.
So
You must turn the heat off in here, right?
I get it.
You guys cool?
This
Just sit next to him.
this room is always who knows. All right, I
I
read
don't know how to dress. Last time I dressed one because it was cold, and then
yesterday.
the other
The
time
workshop
I
was
dressed-
so hot yesterday.
Then I heard that, and so I dressed cool.
I was like sweating back there. All right. 10.121 Conduct of contests and complaints. Subsection 1. The chairman of the election commission shall convene a meeting of the election commission within 7 days of receipt of a complaint or a contest to review the grounds for the complaint or contest. This meeting shall be open to the membership pursuant to the open meetings ordinance. Excuse me. 2, the election commission attorney shall at the meeting called pursuant to subsection 1 provide their legal opinion on the following. A, dismiss the complaint in writing as being without merit, or B, conduct further investigation of allegations, or C, render a decision in writing, and once all appeals have been exhausted, according to subsection 7, if that's right, publish the decision. D, convene a hearing on the matter and render a decision pursuant to the subsection. Well, whatever. These might be the wrong
Section
subsections.
5.
5 of the section. E, all final decisions of the election commission pursuant to C and D above shall be published to the tribe's website. 4, the election commission
I
shall
question.
adopt the legal recommendations of the commission attorney by a simple majority of vote. Sorry, I'll pause there. That's a good.
Did we do that last election? I mean, I seen there were some complaints that that weren't brought forward within the 7 days.
Because they were null. I know we had some null
Okay,
ones.
There was there might have been. I'd have to look back, Jackie.
We had
There
a couple special meetings or special calls.
Yeah.
there may have been a
Yes.
couple meetings that were like right up against that 7-day timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too tight. The goal is for the commission to handle them in a really quick manner. Is 7 days maybe too quick to get everyone together? I don't know. But there were times where we were bumping right up against that 7 days, and I don't know.
Like maybe from here, like we've gone through one cycle, so we pretty much know what to expect with that. So maybe we be like prepared and everybody be up on Zoom, or everybody be up on Zoom.
Yeah.
So that we can
We
We
had
can
a
do
couple
it.
things last time where it was really tight, but I can't remember exactly.
We did have some technical issues with trying to coordinate everyone getting on some of those Zoom meetings. But I agree in general, Jackie. Yeah, we can. You don't have to like all be here in this room in those 7 days, as long as we're on even if it has to be a conference call. If you're all convened in a quorum on Zoom or on a conference call, you can do this business. And we did do some of those Zoom calls. I know some of them we had technical issues. We couldn't get commissioners on. Some of them the membership couldn't join the Zoom. So there were technical tweaks to iron out, but setting those aside, I agree. Like that should be a tool that this commission uses, especially because we're all different areas, to very quickly get a meeting together. Yeah. So
Yeah, our Zoom,
It's
my
7.
Zoom worked and when Ashley did it, but now it doesn't work again.
that mean we like the 7 days, or we think it's too short, or is it good?
I think 7 days
Is it good? Okay.
I mean, I don't know what are everybody else is
We can't take forever because our election is so tight.
Right. It can't. Yeah. It has to be fairly quick. So I mean, 7 days at some point in time, we all decided as a tribe that was a good number. I'm fine with it. It's really on the commission if you can't convene for whatever in 7 days. But
Are they filming this or what?
the Zoom's being recorded, but communications is not streaming it, so we'll have to have them post the video after the fact.
When did they stop streaming it?
I think it was just a miscommunication for today.
Yeah, it was just a miscommunication.
I thought they were in here setting something up. I thought they were getting ready, but we'll make sure.
Unreal.
And then you left.
New year, iron out the kinks. We'll make sure that they're up and ready to actually stream it live for February. But we'll get the video posted.
Somebody listening?
We have members on Zoom, yeah, a few.
I swear to God, it blows me away sometimes.
The technology.
Oh no,
Issues.
just the pick and choose things are just too funny.
We've been really really busy, so it was kind of our fault. But the video will be posted.
I know some people do religiously watch it.
Where were we?
I don't know. 10, 1, 2, 1.
We are at 3.
We're at 3.
Or, yeah. The election commission shall adopt the legal recommendations of the elections commission attorney by a simple majority vote.
Why do I not have 3?
Because
Isn't that the part we were at?
it says, because it might say 4 in your copy, but it's a typo. It's supposed to be 3.
Oh, I got 4. So
Because see, there's 2 4s. Yeah, Jackie's right. That's supposed to be 3. It's just a typo on this copy.
I don't agree
So
with
what-
that at all.
Yeah, so
I don't agree with this at all either. Yeah, there should not be a shall. This should be the election commission will vote on. Yeah, this has to be worded. It may. Yeah, we can just say may adopt. May adopt the legal recommendations of the election commission attorney by a simple
may
majority.
adopt, okay.
And by a simple majority vote.
That would help.
Well, this was written with this simple majority is language from prior to Chapter 10 where you had, was it 12? Well, up to, well, if it was fully seated, a 13 member committee. I mean, simple majority vote for you all is 3 votes. We have 5 right now, right? But it was written with you would need at least 6 of the 13 or 7 of the 13. So the point is a majority of the commission should be what drives the decision.
Yeah, so should we take that word out? I mean, I don't know.
Just majority vote, yeah.
By a majority vote.
I'm not dead set on this language, but I want to say something here. The commission may adopt the legal recommendations of the commission attorney by majority vote, or may vote on. May vote on how to rule on specific complaints. This is clunky language, but I'm going to reword this for you guys. I have some different language, but what I want to get at is, so the attorney will give his or her recommendations. You can adopt those, or you're the commission. You can also vote on if you think a different outcome should come. And I'll tweak this language more, but I want to change this whole section where it's very clear that the commission is the arbiter, and the commission can base their decision on the legal recommendations, but the commission can vote for whatever decision they think is appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm not sure how to word that yet, but this section needs to change. I agree with all of you. I don't like this section. It should never have been a shall. So I can't think right now how to tweak this, but I'm gonna bring you some other language that makes it clear that the opinion of the attorney is just that. It's the opinion for you to consider, and you vote according to the majority vote, and that is what's carried out.
So you don't have to agree with the attorney, right?
Correct.
No.
Right now, the way it's worded,
Yes, we have.
you have to.
Yeah.
That is not the way. That's not the way it should. That's not the way it should work.
Tell us what to do.
If you recall, during the election cycle, I started to try and get creative with my opinions to you guys and give you 2 or 3 options. to still be in line with code, but allow you to pick one of the options. So it wasn't just one option. So that was how as we went through the election, I was starting to try to work within that code language, but also try to put the authority back in the commission. But going forward, now that we're changing this, let's get the language that gives the commission the authority that it should have. It came up in our appeal with one of the candidates, and the Court of Appeals said that we don't like this language. Just gives the commission attorney too much power. And I said, you're right. That's how it's worded, but that's the structure we're under until it's changed. But I don't disagree with you, Court of Appeals, because I don't disagree with you or the Court of Appeals. It needs a change. For any further investigation conducted pursuant to subsection 2B shall be concluded within 14 calendar days unless an extension is granted by Election Commission. And such extension may be granted by vote taken via any media as long as said vote is reaffirmed at the next duly called meeting of the Election Commission.
Who's the investigator?
Wow, last year it was me.
Yeah.
Well,
Or last election cycle. The one investigation we had to do for one of the candidates, I did the investigation and Josh helped me. We don't have like an investigator, so it can fall to the commission as a whole with the attorney. We can try to flesh it out more, but the way it played out last year is I did the best investigation I could. It was for a candidate that a mailer had gone out that they didn't send out. And so our department was contacting the post office and we were talking with the candidate. We were trying to track the mail. So we did our own investigation is how it played out last year.
no, I was just checking of who would have to, I guess, request an extension of the 14 days.
No, yeah.
Me.
Well, could the
If
candidate,
what's that?
could the candidate or like whoever made the complaint, could
Yeah.
they request 14 days in that because
Yeah, the candidate could.
Yeah,
The
'cause-
attorney could if we're doing that investigation. The commission could just one of the commissioners could say we need more time. Let's extend this by vote.
yeah, because
Any-
sometimes
any-
you can't get that information, like even from the post office.
No, I was
That kind of
just
stuff. Yeah.
just making sure that that's who.
No, you had a good question.
You want to try to work on the language to make it more clear who does the investigation?
You want
No.
a good-looking guy.
I almost kind of think that's okay because
You want
She
Marcia
wants-
to do it.
no, that's okay. We'll leave it how it is.
But I would imagine investigations going forward, when they occur, it would be me in conjunction with whatever staff, like IT sometimes maybe.
Yeah,
It's,
that would
As
be-
necessary.
Yeah, or the commission can help investigate as necessary. The prosecutor, if it's a criminal thing, we would just want to make sure we have the leeway to bring in whoever we need to based on the scenario.
Yeah, if we don't have this right though, they're gonna say, you
Yep.
can't.
And you gotta redo the whole damn election because of that.
Yep.
That's why we have legal. Well, they know how to talk, they know the verbiage you're supposed to use.
I still think the good-looking investigators.
I'll make note of that. 5, upon conclusion of any further investigation conducted pursuant to subsection 2B, the election commission shall convene a meeting and comply with subsection 2, and said meeting shall occur no later than 30 days after receipt of the original contest or complaint.
Okay, this one says days. So
Yeah,
That's how you change the other one, that's good.
I think as like I've made note of that. I think I agree with, I think Jackie and Tish both said it. I'm going to go through and make everything days, 90 days, 60 days, whatever the days are, no more months, and I'll make sure it's uniform in its verbiage. So it has the word and the actual number, and just make that all the same throughout.
Yeah, like this is for whatever.
Since the commission can what's the word, grant an extension to the investigation, should we be able for the commission to grant an extension? Like what if you have 14 days to investigate and then you extend it 14 days, now you're at 28 days, do you have time to then call a meeting in 30 days? Should you have a mechanism where you can extend this 30 days if you had to extend the investigation? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. But is there a timeline in the extension?
No, it's very vague. There's no set timeline on how far you can extend it. I think it's up. The way I read it now, it'd be just at your discretion. But you're also boxed in right now by those 30 days, so you can't extend it too far because in 30
That's
days
fair.
you have to have your meeting, unless we build in some language to extend it.
So somebody could be under investigation and get voted in?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is maybe we brought it up when Tish brought up that earlier about the doing the timeline of complaints. It's not really clear in chapter 10. I don't think it's really come up recently, but what to do in those scenarios where we have already certified and seated a board member, but now there's besides the removal code, of course, there's nothing in chapter 10 that speaks to what the commission can do, if anything, in those scenarios. And maybe that's something we want to workshop, having some authority of the commission to investigate, even though the board member has already won that seat and is seated. Does that mean that the commission's role is done? I would argue no, not necessarily. But right now, our code doesn't contemplate that or have a mechanism. Like once they're seated, your role is pretty much done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there were to be something like that that'll be a nightmare for this election commission.
It will a nightmare for the tribe.
Right. I don't know if it's something we want to do or if it's a good idea, but maybe it's a discussion that we can
It
have.
is, yeah, a discussion.
Or you just rely on the removal code, like that's what it's there for, right? Even if it's a high bar.
Well, yeah, but people know how to get around it. It happens all the time.
6, any hearing held pursuant to this section shall be conducted in accordance with any administrative hearing code adopted by the board of directors. Absent any adopted administrative hearing code, hearings pursuant to this section shall be conducted under administrative hearing procedures adopted by the election commission. This was put in place because at the time the board was considering maybe doing an administrative hearing code. I don't think this current board is currently contemplating that in any respect. You do have, and it is posted to our website, the commission does have the hearing procedures that the prior committees used. We didn't change them except for updating the language to match chapter 10. So we don't have to do this right now. Chapter 10 is the focus, but we can down the line look at those and see if you want to change any of those procedures, and that can be done administratively. But we do have hearing procedures in place. We didn't ever do a full hearing, but if the commission did a full hearing, we have the ability to take evidence and do witness lists and all that stuff, and that is already outlined on the website.
Oh,
Number 7.
that's a
Oh,
really
sorry.
gray area.
Was that Jackie? Sorry, I was coughing.
That's 6, with the whole administrative hearing code. Where is that?
Yeah,
We don't have an administrative hearing code.
we don't have one. This was put in there because it appeared that maybe the prior board that adopted this chapter 10 was moving towards contemplating adopting an administrative hearing code. We've had multiple drafts over the years. I don't know if this current board it's not on the radar right now, I don't think. So
Well,
the
maybe
language
this
really
is
isn't
that's something we should discuss with them, because we do not have that, and we need that. Yeah, we don't have, and we need that. And, you know, that it needs to be, we need to let them know that this is a priority. You know, it is, it's a priority. And we need it. And, you know, moving forward, it has to be there. Or something has to be there.
Yeah, and right now that something is the election commission's hearing procedures, which are the same as prior committees. So right now the fallback is, along with your bylaws, you have like a hearing procedure policy, that's in place. So if you did do a hearing, that's what it would revert to right now.
That's another area we need to talk with them about. And
I made note here, Jackie. Commission may be recommendation for board to consider administrative hearing code.
Yep.
/ we can also revise as needed our hearing procedures, so we at least have those how you want them as a commission. So you don't have to rely on the board of directors to maybe do this code, because we can run through and tweak as the commission sees fit their hearing procedures.
Okay,
7, hearings under this section are civil administrative proceedings, and imposition of any fines or penalties under this subsection does not preclude prosecution and imposition of penalties for any crime in violation of Tribal Code Chapter 71. 8, a decision issued pursuant to the subsections 2C or D may be appealed to the Sioux Tribe Chippewa. Sioux Tribe. Oh, that's a typo. To the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe Chippewa Indians Tribal Court of Appeals pursuant to Chapter 82.
fun twister.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why it was worded. Whatever. That's just a typo. Let's just call it Sioux Tribe Tribal Court. Why? Okay. So 7 is stating that there's no quote, double jeopardy, because our proceedings here are civil. If they committed a crime, the prosecutor can still, at their discretion, prosecute a crime. And then 8 is, well, just after the appeal or anything that we publish our decisions, they can, under those 2 subsections, can be appealed to the Court of Appeals. Are we good with those?
just, yep.
10.122, election recounts. Any candidate may request a recount of the tabulation of votes in any primary or general election, provided A, the margin between the requesting candidate's vote total and the vote total for the unofficial winner was within 2% of the total votes for the office being sought, or 50 votes, whichever is greater. B, a request for recount is submitted in writing, signed by the requesting candidate to the chairperson of the election commission within 3 days of posting the unofficial results of the election.
So this part is kind of is hard for those smaller units. This works for unit 1, the 2% or 50, whatever is higher. I don't know if it necessarily works for unit 2 with the 50.
2%.
2%.
2%.
Yeah.
I would just take out the 50 votes is my suggestion and just leave the 2%.
No. Let's see.
I don't know. I'm
Well,
I'm thinking math in my head.
Mm-hmm.
By saying 2% or 50 votes, it covers it either way.
Yeah, we did.
But whatever's greater. So it has to be 50 votes and say unit. That would be the greatest number in some of the smaller units is what I'm saying. The 50 votes makes sense in unit 1 or the 2%.
But it says whichever is.
I guess what's right. I guess it doesn't matter, because if 2% is,
I don't know.
if you just leave it at 2%, it's 2%. So if the 2% is 39 votes, you're still within the 2%. For those,
Where'd they come
for
up
those,
with
for those.
2%?
It's a
How'd
good
that
que-
number come up?
it's a good question. I
I don't know.
have no idea.
That's
And
one of
I
the
haven't,
original
like-
Maybe
numbers.
because of the little ones.
Except that doesn't make sense because like if you're in say you're in unit 4 or 5, and then you're within 2%, but that 2% is 39 votes. This language would mean you don't get a recount because you have to go by the greater of 50.
Of 50. That's
So 2% makes it equal across the board and allows for a scenario in a smaller unit where that 2% is less than 50.
Or
that they
we
can
do
still
like
get
the
a
other,
recount.
like how we do other places. Like maybe unit 1 gets the 50 votes and or the 2% one, but it'd still be 2% because it'd be greater than 50 if you do 2% of all the votes.
But unit 1, if it's 2%, it's always going to be greater than 50.
Yeah,
But unit 4 and 5, maybe that 2% is less than 50 sometimes,
that's what
depending
I'm
on the voter turnout.
saying.
And so you're eliminating that candidate's a chance to do a recount, even though they're within 2% of the total vote.
Nobody turned out last time.
No, but that's the scenario that could happen.
But we did have recount, but it was in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just doing quick math in my head.
I mean, for the smaller units, having the 50 votes, right or wrong, eliminates the commission and prior committees having to do recounts in those areas. But is that what's in the best interest of the tribe and the candidates? That's the discussion. All right. So right now I've deleted that. I made a note. Maybe we eliminate the 50 votes and just go with 2%.
I think also when that was written, we didn't have a huge voting population. You had to register, wasn't included everybody. It was a whole lot of, it was a smaller population of the tribe as a whole. So I think that's why that was there, but I don't
Excuse
think
me.
that's required at this point.
Yeah, because, I mean, look how much it is open up now that, with voting for just the chairman.
Yeah, we have around.
So,
Well, we have easily 40,000 registered voters now because of our new enrollment numbers. We probably during the election we had like almost 39,000. We probably easily have 40,000 18 and over now.
I mean, it's total votes cast, but I just see the numbers. I've seen the votes casted.
so is that something that we want to look at and bring up with the board? Or
I say we just eliminate the 50 votes, leave it at 2%, or even 1%.
yeah, they're going to say something anyway. So,
Oh yeah, you could do it. You could do 1%.
or do what? 1%?
Or we can change it to 100%. I mean, we could. This is what we're doing. Like, we can change it. I think the 50 votes is not advantageous to the smaller units because 4 and 5 are small. Even 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even remember, but they're less than 1,000 votes between them.
Yeah, I think having whether it's 1% or 2%, I think
No, there was.
that's a good point. I think having just a percentage
I mean,
across the board is more fair to all the candidates.
If you,
Yeah.
Doesn't
You're
disadvantage
right.
those smaller units.
if you worded it instead of whichever is greater, put it as whichever is smaller.
oh, that too.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think? Whichever is smaller?
Ah,
Yeah, that would work too.
okay, I lost my place. Oh. Question mark?
We could run some numbers. We could have IT run some numbers on our past few elections and just
See what the threshold
see
would
what
be.
that threshold looks like, and we can come back to it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 days is 3 days to request recount.
That I
sufficient?
agree with the 3 days on that one.
It worked last time, right?
Because guaranteed they're going to have a recount as soon as they
I mean,
see.
we
Yeah.
we
Oh,
have the unofficial results right there that night, and they're on the website that night. And
Yeah.
if someone wants to recount, they're going to do it right away.
Yeah.
2, is that right? Yeah. 2, in the event the vote tabulation results in a tie, the election commission will conduct an automatic recount if needed to determine the official results. 3, any recount conducted shall be the only recount allowed for any affected candidates.
Okay, that's a weird sentence, Brian.
Yeah, they could only have it done once.
That's what it's saying, yeah. Any
Throw
recount.
another one in there. It comes out to tie again. Remember what you said about the
Hat.
last one?
Yeah. Hold
Straws,
on. Let
picking
me.
straws.
They had to pick
We're picking it
straws
up,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, draw lots. That's still in here somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
I thought so.
Yeah,
Just
it's up in our 10.116 election procedures. If there remains a tie after recount, the commission shall decide the result of the election by drawing lots.
Yeah.
We made a note. What did we say? Oh, we just said for discussion, different way, runoff election, create a runoff section maybe.
Yep, that's
Run ballots through again or hand count. So we did flag this as different scenarios that we want to talk about.
I will not allow drawing lots anymore. That's ridiculous.
I love the runoff election. If we flesh that out, I think that's something worth talking about. I think it puts more onus on the commission to then do another election, but it's obviously limited in scope. But having a runoff election, tons of other jurisdictions do it that way. Why can't we do it that way, right?
On tons of jurisdictions, if you don't get 50% of the vote, they do a runoff.
Right. It's like
Like, we're not going that far.
here you can draw a straw, and if you're the bigger straw, you win. Like, but there's more equitable ways we can do that in 2025, right? Oh, rock paper scissors contest. That's 2 out of 3.
I was gonna say Indian leg wrestling, but
That's good. Wow.
God.
10.123 certification of election results. The election commission shall post the uncertified election results on site and submit the uncertified results to the designated person for posting at each tribal office and on the tribe's website immediately following the tabulation of votes. 2, the election commission shall certify the election results to the board of directors at the next special or regular meeting, provided the period of contest has lapsed and all contests have been finally resolved. If a special or regular meeting does not occur within 7 days following resolution of all contests, the election results shall be deemed certified. Thoughts, suggestions, comments?
I'm good with that.
We got a few more pages, guys.
Push through. It's only 1 o'clock. We can push through. For what it's worth, this language I think it works as is. I don't have any profound thoughts. They seem to work. It seems to work for the decades we've been doing it. Some things, if it's not broke, I don't think we need to fix it.
No.
10.124 notification and installation. 1, elected candidates shall immediately be notified of the election by mail and or telephone if possible. 2, elected candidates shall assume the duties of office at the first special or regular board of directors meeting following the certification of the election results pursuant to section 10.122. If a special 3, thank you. I was like, I know that's not right. If a special or regular meeting does not occur within 7 days following certification of results, elected candidates shall be installed into office. The board of directors shall hold a special or regular meeting for the purpose of officer elections on the second Tuesday in July following the election.
Yep.
10.125 oath of office.
Wait a minute, Ryan. Go back a second.
Sorry. Yep.
So we have a contest. We pull it out from the contest. We extend it. How could they have a regular meeting in July if the election doesn't end till the end of June to hold officer meetings if some people couldn't. Not
Special. They had a special, didn't they?
So like if we have a
So you're doing an investigation on a contest. You get it extended for the however long it needs. We might not technically be able to certify results till after that July meeting that that's scheduled to hold officer meetings. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And I had asked General Counsel Schlehuber about this, and I'm not sure exactly how. I guess it never came up where there was a contest, and then that board of directors shouldn't have been seated, but they meaning the prior election committees have in the past certified and people have been installed even though there was a contest going through our system up to the Court of Appeals, but they still certified everything. I guess it just never happened where the Court of Appeals vacated that seat. I don't know the answer, but I do know the scenario that you're alluding to, Tish, has come up, and they've just installed them anyway. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I know that's kind of how that's how it's happened.
Oh, there's a reason why I asked the question the way I asked it.
We don't have, and certainly the code doesn't have to mandate that second Tuesday in July. Why? I don't know. I don't know where that date come from, but it can be after. It can be changed to after the resolution of all contests.
That's, I guess, where I'm going, because if we have all this way of making the time frame longer, and then we set ourselves up another absolutely 100% date.
Yeah. Right. These absolute dates sometimes don't make sense. They don't work. So it could be something. The board of directors shall hold a special or regular meeting for the purposes of officer elections. Something after the conclusion of all, I don't know, contests and complaints. That's not right, but something to that effect. After the and final certification. This might affect other sections as I'm typing this, but yeah, I see your point. It doesn't have to be that second Tuesday in July. What if we still have pending resolutions of contests, so we don't actually have quote our final certification because we're waiting for the Court of Appeals to make a ruling?
So I'm half also wondering if that's what their thought process was by seating those other candidates or the winners doing the installation. It's because they were held over a barrel of that second Tuesday.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's also the push and pull of we need our government to function, and we don't want the Court of Appeals to, unless we have separation, under our current system, the intent was probably they don't want Court of Appeals to delay the function of our government because they take too long to, no shade to the Court of Appeals, they sometimes take a long time to resolve complaints. So you could be waiting for a year or more for a complaint. So should that board of directors not do their job because they have to wait for the Court of Appeals? It's not just our Court of Appeals. All Court of Appeals are long. And so that was, I think that was probably the dynamic is we got to seat them. We got to do this. We got to get officers. We have to run our tribe, even though there's still an ongoing case. I don't know where the middle.
But isn't there a section in there that says you can retain your seat till the seat's filled?
There is, yeah. So is it necessary?
You retain your seat until your seat's filled. Same with every commission.
So they would stay there until the new person.
Right. So the current board member would sit there until. You're right. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I just know from asking around of prior council and prior committees that was the rationale I was told. But when you have that, we have that language already built in and has been built in.
Which I think that's the reason also why that was built in. But then
yeah, I mean, maybe it stings for that candidate, but they could wait 8 months for a Court of Appeals opinion to be seated, and the government continues to function because that board member stays in their seat until we can certify that seat.
Or you put in the appellate court functions and rules that any.
Oh, we
Yeah, never
well,
mind.
We did.
You know what I was saying with that.
We did shorten.
Make it
We
up.
did shorten the timelines for the Court of Appeals. They only have like 60 days now to get us an opinion.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of push and pull on that. But they can't. I retract some of my statement. They can no longer wait a year or more to rule. That did happen in the past. Now they have to do it quicker. So we're not sitting out there for a year under our current codes. We're going to only really be delayed by 60 days now. So we did clean that up. I do take your point. Maybe there's ways to tweak this further, right? And not mandate that second Tuesday in July you have to elect officers.
Well, I don't think we've already discussed the issues of the fact that we are not set in stone on that
We're not
by anything but the code of the January, the third January or Thursday in January.
correct.
not-
All these dates that we've set up for our tribe are purely
Arbitrarial.
yeah, they're just under code and they can be changed. They're not mandated by the Constitution. They're mandated because we chose to mandate them in code, and they can be tweaked as this commission wants to recommend to the board. We're not set on these dates, even though they've been the dates forever. Doesn't mean they have to be the dates going forward. Yep.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
die
good.
on the hill because everyone kept telling me when I first got here, it's constitutional, it's constitutional. I read our Constitution. It's not. Those dates.
Till you said that one, I never realized that's what they would say. I'm like, that's not in the Constitution. I read their Constitution front and back.
I felt like I was being
Numerous times.
I was being gaslit. I'm like, am I reading a different Constitution? Where is it? Where is it in here? And I couldn't find it. So it's clearly just by code. So we can tweak it as we think necessary. And if the board agrees, then we can change our timelines. Yeah. I feel like I was going crazy at first. Like, am I reading the wrong Constitution? I don't know. 10.125 oath of office. 1. Prior to assuming office, a candidate-elect or an appointee shall take an oath of office. 2. Failure to take the oath of office shall prevent the candidate-elect or appointee from assuming office. 3. The oath shall be administered by the chairperson of the election commission. Excuse me. 4. The oath shall not be given unless this chapter has been fully complied with.
Who gave the oath of office?
Boyd.
Ernie
Was Boyd here?
No, Ernie did.
Ernie
his
did.
leg
Boyd
was-
did, yeah.
Boyd was absent.
He hurt his leg or
Yeah, he
ankle
had
or
an injury
whatever.
or something.
I know you and I and Jackie were there.
That's the whole thing, the oath of office.
One thing at a time,
I'll
Ryan.
get
One
into
thing
that
at a
later.
time.
That seems straightforward to me. I don't have any comments.
I'm good.
We get 10.126 resignation and surrender.
What are you laughing at?
Any
Okay, I'll save it.
any candidate elected or an individual appointed to a position on the board of directors who is either an employee or independent contractor of the tribe shall voluntarily resign his or her employment position or surrender any rights under any contract with the tribe prior to being installed in office or taking the oath of office as further defined in subsection 3A. 1A, for purposes of this section, the tribe shall mean the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe Chippewa Indians, its governmental instrumentalities, wholly owned subsidiaries, or any corporation formed under any state or tribal law in which the tribe has an ownership interest. B, the purposes of this section, for the purposes of this section, an employment position shall mean any exempt or hourly position. Should I pause for a second? If you get elected and you're working for the tribe or you have a contract with the tribe, you gotta resign that or set aside that contract.
You're supposed to resign.
You're mandated to under code. I'm not gonna.
Well, let me just, okay, I'll take my name off and I'll put it on my family's name. There's ways, I know there's ways of getting around that one, but that's all right. There's nothing we can do about it.
I have a question.
Yeah. Late, I mean,
This probably doesn't have anything to do with this, but after they took their oath of office, then they went into a meeting, right?
Yeah,
To
Yeah.
pick the
officers.
officers.
Yeah.
When they got in there, they didn't have a set way of doing it, and they argued about it. Where is that rules at?
That's on them.
That's on.
That's on them.
That is absolutely on. They're self-elected. It's up outside of the chairman. It's on them.
Because, okay, let's say I appoint you, but she didn't get a chance. And that's what was going on. They were having this little inter board battle. And I thought,
They've done it 15 different ways over the last 15 different elections.
mhm.
okay, that's not my business. I just wondered if there was a rule
That's
that
your
they were
business.
following.
That's your government. It's your
Yeah,
business.
exactly. But
Right.
I've seen
yeah,
it do it many and many a different way.
Yeah, just the past few elections, I think they've done it two
Three.
different ways. So,
Well,
That should be.
me and Jackie been around a long time. We've seen them 15 different ways. So
I-
Jack,
Well, that should be in
I believe that.
stone. That shouldn't be.
yeah, that's
Well,
not.
that's their deal, and
Yeah,
you know
that-
we got enough to worry.
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it's-
not something that the commission can mandate. That's the board has to do that. But to Jackie's point, yeah, I mean, it in the sense that we're all tribal members here, that it is in our interest to ask those questions, but it's not in our authority
It's not fair,
to.
actually. But I guess nothing's fair in our government. So
Maybe it's good we're not streaming right now.
Canada's going to be the 51st.
I'm
state,
just
remember
kidding.
that.
oh,
we're all
going to jail.
So, are we good with this? Keeping this mandate, whether or not setting aside Phil's comment of if there's a workaround, keeping the mandate that if you're working for the tribe or you have a contract with the tribe, you are mandated to voluntarily resign and surrender your rights in that contract.
This is just for a paying position, right?
Say I have a construction company and I have a contract with the tribe, and then I run for the board of directors
And you win.
and I win.
You can no longer.
I guess
contract with-
Yeah, but if it's a contract,
I'm supposed to
don't you
surrender.
get to
I'm supposed to
finish it?
surrender my. Well, I guess that depends on what we mean by surrender your rights. But I'm supposed to get no benefit from that contract anymore now that I'm a board director. So, arguably, I guess I can step back from my role in my construction company, and my family can continue to run it. But I can no longer get a direct benefit from that contract.
But your family can.
Go to C. Because I think that,
Oh, I'm sorry. See.
yeah, because that actually goes into the contractors.
For purposes of this section,
And D.
independent contractor shall mean a person who performs services for the tribe under an express or implied agreement and who is not subject to the tribe's control, right to control the manner and means of performing the services. For purposes of this section in D, a contractual right shall mean any right owed, a candidate or individual by the tribe, whether vested or not, that exists by operation of an express or implied contract.
This is board of directors only.
Yeah, this is once we're
This
seated
isn't
as a
election
director.
commission members. This is board of directors.
Yeah, because there was a question about that, as you know,
A question about
election commission members that I
Well-
read last night.
No.
yeah. If we have time to discuss that later, let's get through 10. Okay. I might need to ask for a bathroom break, a 5-minute break soon too.
Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom.
So let's get. How much is left in this? Should I go through more, or should we take a break now? You guys let me know.
I gotta go leave my dog though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Get mad at you and eat them, maybe.
Yeah, they will.
So we're on 10.126, resignation and surrender. Section 2, failure to voluntarily resign from an employment position or surrender any contractual rights pursuant to subsection 1 above shall bar the candidate or individual from assuming the duties of office or taking the oath of office. 3, any resignation or surrender shall be accomplished by a candidate or individual voluntarily executing a written document to the tribe's satisfaction, wherein a candidate or individual, A, For employment positions, releases any and all rights and claims a candidate or individual may have based on their employment position with the tribe. For contractual rights, release any and all rights and claims a candidate or individual may have based upon their contractual relationship with the tribe. C, for both employment positions and contractual rights, any other releases, indemnifications, waivers, or other securities deemed appropriate by the tribe. I'll pause there for a second.
So before they get, whatever, they're supposed to resign from everything. But they can wait till they win or lose, right?
Correct. The candidate can wait till they have won their seat before they have to.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I don't want a sausage right now.
Thank you. For implementing procedures for candidates, A, within 7 days of a candidate submitting a letter of intent, the candidate shall cause to be submitted a disclosure of professional relationship. The disclosure of professional relationship shall state little I, any and all employment positions, and little two, any and all contractual rights. 3, the candidate attests to the accuracy and completeness of their disclosure, and that any inaccuracies or incompletenesses may be a violation of this chapter or chapter 71. 4, the candidate agrees that any inaccuracies or incompleteness shall prevent the candidate from assuming the duties of office, or taking the oath of office. Should be. So this is included. There's a little form that's included in their packet when they do their letter of intent that they have to disclose any professional relationships, employment positions, or contractual relationship with the tribe.
A question.
Yeah.
If they give up that, I'm sorry for eating, but if they give up that position, then after they get certified, they sneak back and get that position. Is that on us? That so you can't do that, or you're disqualified, or is that the board takes that over then?
So if they surrender their contractual rights,
Yeah,
they get seated,
yeah,
and then they go back to working in that contract.
yeah. Is that something for us?
That would be something that would be dealt with the removal.
But we have to do that, right?
No,
Oh, we don't.
no,
Okay.
that's not on the commission. That's what we were talking about earlier. Like once the board is seated,
Yeah.
unless we change some of the timelines, like your role as commission
It's
and
done.
enforcement ends, and then other chapters like the removal code would kick in,
Okay.
or the board of directors could take action if they know one of their own membership is violating something. But the role here, the commission, there's no role for that.
All right.
Good.
I'm going to ask this question before you go on, Ryan.
Yep.
Is this the right section for this
They're good.
portion of this, of 4?
It feels like it should be up with the letter of intent section. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was reading it, I was like, this doesn't feel like, because it's way down in our code, even though this is something that happens in the very beginning of your candidacy. So I think you're right. We could move this up to the appropriate section.
I think it's appropriate.
And then reference that subsection here. Yeah.
What are we doing here?
So
So move this up to, like what, the whole resignation is surrender or just?
No.
subsection?
Just subsection 4.
Okay.
Because if you read further, this is about a candidate and declaring their connections with the tribe. So if they don't surrender or resign those positions or contracts, the board, the tribal attorney, and the election commission know that they can't have the oath of office because they declared it when they did their letter of intent. Am I reading?
you're right. That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah. So I think
I think it's a great part of it because that's really what you want to know. And if they don't list them all, there's a violation technically. But I get why it wants to reference that, but I just think that should be earlier on because in reality, people follow this. Okay, I'm going to do my letter of intent. Here's what I got to do for this. And this is what they're going to read it in order
yeah.
to
It
do.
should go to like letter of intent.
Yeah, when they're
Yeah.
as a when you want to become a candidate.
For
Right. So yeah, I think you guys are right. Move this up to where we have letter of intent, and then we will reference this. We'll put that language up top, and we'll reference 10.126, and then in 10.126, we'll also shoot it back to 10.118
Whatever it is. And
or whatever it is up top. So they're connected that way. But yeah, this should be at the top because yeah, you're right. Candidates go through chapter 10 like a checklist. Like here's all the things we need, and this is at the bottom, even though it's something they have to do right.
and honestly, if I'm looking for what I have to do, I'm not going to look in that section.
No, I mean either.
no, you're gonna stay at the beginning.
Or I'm going to get this in my packet and be like, that's not anywhere in my eligibility section.
Yeah.
What is this coming from? Even though I'd hope all the candidates would read the entire chapter 10, but you look for what's important for the stage of the candidacy that you're in, right? So, so also same with B here.
Mm-hmm.
Within 1 day of a candidate filing a letter of intent, the election commission shall provide a copy to the tribal attorney's office. That's probably not in the right section either.
I would almost assume the whole section of 4.
You're probably right, yeah.
That's what
C, within 7 days of receiving the disclosure of professional relationship, the tribal attorney's office shall meet with the election commission, and within that same 7 days thereafter, provide the election commission an opinion stating whether or not any disclosures made on the disclosure a professional relationship requires a candidate to perform a resignation or surrender pursuant to section 1 above.
And a candidate elected. Okay. If we feel there's a conflict of the running of them with that professional relationship. Is that what you're saying? They would have to resign before they're actually elected?
Yeah, so I think how it works this didn't come up last election, but I think how it works in practice is the commission gets that disclosure. They say, well, yeah, I have a contract with the tribe. They send it to the attorney's office. The attorney's office reviews it. And then a letter is generated that says, well, since you have this contract, should you win your candidacy, you will have to surrender your rights in this contract, is what this
We didn't
This
have
is
that
saying-
this last election, right?
no. And
Because
I don't
remember seeing any of it. So
What's interesting to me is the attorney's office provides an opinion on whether or not they'd have to resign or surrender, which conflicts with some of the language above that seems to be like you shall. This contemplates a scenario where there's some kind of relationship that you don't have to surrender. But up above, it kind of mandates that you surrender all relationships. Maybe this has to be tweaked. I'm trying to think of what would I have to disclose that's a professional relationship that I don't also have to surrender if I win.
but if you're under a
I don't know.
contract, that would be it.
Because that form asked me to certify that I'm not an employee, and it asked me to certify whether or not I have any contractual relationship with the tribe, if I'm remembering the form correctly. So there's not a scenario where I disclose either of those two things where if I win, I don't have to surrender my right. So I'm not sure the purpose of this legal opinion and what it's meant to accomplish. I don't think there's been a legal opinion. When this has come up, I think it's just a letter stating, hey, you have a contract with the tribe. If you win, you have to resign. You have to surrender your rights in that contract. And what I've seen, I don't recall seeing anything where we've allowed them not to surrender their rights. So I don't know what the purpose of this opinion is for.
Is this a new section or an older section? Do you remember?
It's an older section. We didn't change any of this language with the last run through. Maybe I'll flag it in general.
Yeah. When they did the no double dip.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Just seems like, yeah. just seems like a whole lot of legalese to. spit
I
out.
could, just my personal opinion, I can also read that within 7 days you get this, you can say the candidate shall resign prior to them even being elected because of whatever relationship they have. That's also what I'm reading in that.
Yeah, is that, yeah, if they just decide that, yeah, you have to resign from your position.
Before even you're able to run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't think that was.
I don't
well,
think that was
I
the
don't
full
imagine that was the
intent at all.
intent.
No. Because what if
Alright.
they don't win?
Yeah, that would be silly if I had to resign. Well, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't the intent. But I guess there's the argument where if I'm getting money from the tribe through a contract and I'm running for office, there's maybe at least a perceived conflict of interest. Maybe that's what they were trying to avoid, but I don't think this accomplishes that necessarily. And we'll flag it. I'll try to workshop some language for you. D, the election commission shall immediately after receiving the subsection C opinion, notify a candidate in writing that they will be required to perform a resignation or surrender pursuant to subsection 1 above. That's what I just stated, but I skipped, or I didn't read that section yet. So that's the letter I was talking about that gets generated. E, before a candidate is installed in office or takes the oath of office, whichever occurs first, the election commission shall certify in writing to the board of directors that 1, the election commission attests that the candidate taking the office or being installed in office has complied fully with this section, and 2, that the tribal attorney's office has certified in writing to the election commission and that the candidate has complied fully with subsection 3 above. I want to make a note in general. I think legal thinks we can streamline this section.
I'll read section 5.
Maybe I should do that, before I.
Well, no, flag that too, but I think section 5, I just kind of read ahead a little bit. It's almost repeating itself in a different manner with the fact of being them but before installation.
Okay, 5, implementation procedures for appointed individuals. A, within 3 days of an individual being appointed to the board of directors, but before installation or the oath of office, the individual shall cause to be submitted. Oh, you're right. A disclosure of professional relationship. The disclosure of professional relationship shall state any and all employment positions, any and all contractual rights, and the individual asset attests to the accuracy and completeness of their disclosure, and that any inaccuracies or incompletenesses may be a violation of Chapter 10 or Chapter 71.
So on the flip, which I'm
It's
not a big fan of the special election, but the special election is ran very close to the election with all the intents and purposes of the disclosures. So this was probably written when they just would directly appoint without the special election.
Yeah, so, yeah, remember when?
Yeah.
So,
You guys know too much.
is this even?
No, that's perfect.
Is this even?
Depends
Is it,
on
no? Because they're not appointing.
well.
Separation clause.
Yeah, you're right. We gotta look at. So these two sections are saying the same thing. They're just mandating them to be done at a different point in time, right? 4, you have to do it in the beginning. 5, you have to do it again at the end.
As an appointment, but again, with the special advisory elections, that mandates they appoint, and we run it very similar to a regular election with the same disclosures. It's almost redundant.
Yeah. Right. Does this language still work with special election?
Or we just get rid of the special election. But hey, what do I know?
All right. I'll flag it. I mean, I understand why it's there if you are in a position where the seat is vacated and you're appointing someone to carry out that term.
Because it gives you the timelines for them to disclose those professional relationships. But if you're going to have a whole runoff of a special election, and again, you have the same letter of intent, you have to file the same information. Don't know if this is needed if you keep the special advisory election.
So they do it the same way they do the actual election.
Yeah, as far as I
that would
know.
be in the, so-
Yeah, I'll flag it because if we tweak the special election section,
It might become applicable, Ben. I don't know.
yeah, this depending on how we revise 10, this may not be needed, or it just might need to be revised to better fit our new chapter 10 that we're going to propose. That this is one that we'll have to see where it fits once we get the other red lines.
Yeah, because next now we're going to go into.
Do you want me to read? It's the same language of 4. Yeah, okay. Can I go down to subchapter 2, special advisory elections?
All right. We'll let you.
10.201 Purpose and Authority. Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution provides that the Board of Directors shall, by majority vote, fill vacancies on the Board of Directors by appointment of a voting member to fill the unexpired term of the departed official. The Board of Directors has determined to conduct special advisory elections to assist in performing its responsibilities under Article 6. The results of any special advisory election conducted pursuant to this subchapter are advisory only and are not binding on the Board of Directors. The purpose of this subchapter is to establish procedures for conducting special advisory elections. The regulations and procedures contained in this chapter shall be administered in such a way as to accomplish this purpose and intent.
Why would you have one?
What's the point of an advisory election if you don't have to follow it?
Yeah. It's a waste of time and money, it seems, because they're, if they don't follow it, it's.
I know, and they did tweak. So I'll go back up, but I'm just going to skip down to the end again to bring your attention to 10.208 appointment. Following the certification of election results by the election commission, the Board of Directors shall appoint the individual who received the most votes in the special advisory election. I can't remember when they changed this, the exact date, but they did do a resolution to make this
2022.
22, thank you, to make this mandatory. So this language used to say committee, but this made that mandatory that they appoint the individual who gets the most votes, even though up above that language wasn't changed.
Oh,
So it still says advisory. So that's
Something that if they're
Clean
going
up.
to keep it needs to be cleaned up.
say that again?
If they're going to keep a special advisory election, they need to clean it up that it will
Yeah.
revert to my opinion is I don't like the special advisory election unless you change the Constitution, because the Constitution grants them the power to appoint, and that's always been my opinion.
So this is kind of.
so it's an advisory election in
That
name.
isn't but it's not an
It's a
advisory
mandatory. It's just really a special mandatory election because
or change it to a mandatory election, then just take out the board will appoint. I don't know.
right.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, the first part says they shall, and then it says, but you don't have to, it's not binding. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No. Is that our position to take that out? I don't know. I don't want to step on their toes.
But
I
it
think-
needs to be cleaned up when you have one section that says it's not binding, but yet at the end of the section, it is binding.
So they can argue the point.
Right. At the very least, we need to clean it up where if the intent
Is to be
is
binding.
still to be binding, we need to change all the sections so it reads that it's entirely binding.
I know.
Well, that's why they did.
That's what's hard about doing any of this stuff. Until they get their separation of powers, man, all they got to do is say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's one of the very
I know. You
within
don't
6
hear
months of
that.
the 2022 election, I believe
I
that
don't have an opinion either way.
it
on
was
that.
became binding. Maybe somewhere in 2022 though.
No, you're right. Yeah,
We
it
gotta
was.
clean this up anyway for us. So
Yeah.
when they do get separation of powers, we're already ready for it.
Yeah, that's another discussion for another day. But we'll have if they keep moving forward with their intent to do a constitutional election, I want to talk with this commission and how we want to recommend the commission's role. Is it a constitutional body, et cetera? And that's I don't want to bog us down today with that, but in February maybe I'll add that to the agenda so we can discuss that. So yeah, this whole section needs to be cleaned up. The way they are currently, I think the intent to function is not an advisory election. It's just a special election, and the winner gets the seat. So this has to be cleaned up, or we need to get from the board of directors what their intent actually is.
Have we had one of these?
Or you need
I don't know the
Yes.
history, so.
22.
They did.
The tribe has had
Yes.
2.
Somebody got knocked off the board or
Yes.
died. or-
Betty
Yeah,
for
special
Denny's
election.
seat,
Yep.
and then Austin for Aaron's seat. Prior to that, they did appoint somebody else because there was a big
Unit
discussion.
5. They did.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it was a bunch of crap.
That's right,
why
for Rita's
when I looked
position.
at this, I said, in my mind,
So after Rita was removed and
yeah.
who
And the board put
Who is it,
somebody else
Anita?
in. They didn't even have an election for it.
who did they replace her with? Anita?
Yes, Anita.
So when they replaced her with Anita,
Yeah.
that's when the special advisory election came into play to be an advisory because whatever hoopla happened. So fast forward to Denny died, they replaced, and there was huge discussion of not appointing Betty at that time. Because they want to go back. At one point, they were talking about going back to the last election, the highest vote getter. And then so they put this into place. That's how Betty got her seat to fill Denny's. Because there's also discussion during Rita's, do we have to do a Unit 5 member? Well, yeah, but anyways, there's a whole lot of
Oh,
shenanigans.
I see what you're saying.
So there's a whole lot of shenanigans that went down. So then after the whole discussion about even seating Betty, then when the election in 20,
Normally it lets me open another tab without it sharing.
I was like, hey, you're sharing your email.
I
That's
didn't-
all
I
right.
didn't mean
They
to.
already saw it. Too bad.
You're
Yeah.
like that
You're not
guy
going
on,
to sleep tonight, mister.
like
Oh.
that guy on TV.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, they're gonna.
So that's
that'll
how,
be on
and so
Facebook.
that's how that became about.
Edit that out
Okay.
of the Zoom before we
That
post
must have
it.
been a huge mess.
It was.
It was.
And
Yeah.
it will be again if they ever have one.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Rita one.
What'd you say?
Rita was the last one to
They
be.
didn't even have an election.
No.
They just put Anita in there.
Yes. Because they didn't have this.
Yes.
Well,
They
as
just
I'm
stuck
sitting
her
here
in.
talking about it, I could tell you when it was done.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the discussion to.
Okay. Go
Sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry.
10.202 scope, the subchapter shall govern special.
All right, my mic's off. The subchapter shall govern the special elections for the board of directors conducted by the board of directors to assist in filling vacant board seats. 203, notice the election commission shall be noticed of a vacancy on the board of directors by the board of directors providing written notice to election commission, or 2, upon the election commission appearing before the board of directors being informed there is a vacancy.
So I'd like to that portion to be take the second people note and it's written.
Yeah.
And just because I know what happened
they
last
have
time.
to-
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Just make it so it's in writing.
In
Yes.
writing.
Don't give them that. Because that's hearsay.
Right, because if you appeared in front of them, you'd have to have like the minutes as the backup in writing. I know. I see what you're saying. That's good.
But the question is the question was an appearance. What an appearance during a workshop, an actual board meeting,
Right.
special
It doesn't.
whatever.
Right. It doesn't say.
I'm sorry, I just jumped in. That's just if anybody disagrees.
Oh, I think that's a good.
No, take out 2, correct? I agree. So does it?
204, date of election. The date of the election shall not be earlier than 65 days after the election announcement for the special advisory election. No special advisory election shall be held if the election date shall be later than the election announcement for the next general election.
God.
Well, that's a lot of saying that after the next election announced, you can't have a special election,
Yeah.
the regular election.
Clean up.
No?
205 election announcement. Upon becoming aware of a vacancy of the election commission,
Yeah.
commission shall within 3 business days prepare and post at each tribal office, and this is all kinds of typo. A notice of election which shall explain the purpose of the special advisory election, give the date of election, the manner by which the vote is to be taken, the office to be filled, the procedures for the nomination of the candidates, the time limit for each stage of the election procedure, and the voting requirements for the elections. It shall provide information on the election to eligible voters and shall also publicize the election information throughout the election unit affected, or in the case of the chairperson, throughout the entirety of the tribe.
That's a whole lot of mess there, Ryan.
In 3 days.
I couldn't even read it.
Gotta do all that.
Can't even read, makes sense of it in 3 days.
Oh my goodness. Clean up for grammar and
For words,
for
vacancy of the board of directors, the election commission, comma.
Yeah, so if there's a vacancy on the board, the commission needs to set their notice of election for the special election within 3 days.
How will we know who's running in 3 days?
No, just the notice of the election.
It will act similar, a quicker timeline, but it'll be just like your normal notice of election. You'll say on this date you have to have your letter of intent in. On this
Yeah.
date you get your all the stuff.
Okay.
It would just be a shortened timeline.
It's not a special person, it's just for everybody.
Yeah, you conduct it the
The same way.
same way, just a tightened timeline usually.
So we need the
With-
packets.
With no primary.
You
Like,
know,
it does say that further, but that's why it's shortened.
yeah, 10.206, applicability of general election rules. 1, all other sections of this chapter are applicable to special advisory elections except as specifically indicated in this subchapter. 2, the timelines found in this chapter relating to general elections are not applicable to a special advisory election. 3, notwithstanding subsection 2, the timelines for a special advisory election shall be determined by the election commission in such a way as to accomplish the purpose and intent of this subchapter and shall be published within the notice of election.
Eh,
I have a question
Yes.
about special elections. It's like, okay, say someone gets really sick, a board member gets really sick, or and they have to resign and give up their seat. Wonder if someone that's employed by the tribe wants to run for that seat, they wouldn't be able to, because don't they have to? Or if you were on the election commission, you couldn't run for that seat because you have to give a 6-month deal, right?
Correct.
Okay, but employees, they would just have to turn in the whole disclosure thing, and they would, okay, but that whole time frame would be heated up.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, I guess if you're on the commission,
You guys are way the hell over.
you're just out of luck for that special election because
You have to be a
there's
lawyer
no
to
way
do
you
that,
could
yeah.
feasibly do your timeline of notice
For
unless you
mine,
change that above.
Yeah, this is kind of. Yeah.
207 primary.
Oh, there's no primary.
There shall be no primary for a special advisory election.
That's why the shortened timelines. It's easier to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot shorter, but that's,
It's like elections of old, Jackie.
In 208, I already read it, but I'll read it again. Appointment. Following the certification of election results by the election commission, the board of directors shall appoint the individual who received the most votes in the special advisory election.
We gotta send out ballots and everything here.
Not for a special election.
No?
Yeah, you do.
Only if there's more than one.
But
Oh,
they're
that's
not-
true.
Well, I guess if it's unopposed.
That's what I'm saying. If nobody else runs for it.
Then we wouldn't have
then we-
to.
yeah.
No.
So
They would
we
just-
discourage anybody running for whatever.
But again, it's only for Okay.
But you
Except for
have-
the chairman, anybody else is just the unit you're doing it in.
Yeah.
So
But
that,
you still have to let it be known
Yep.
out there that there's an open seat.
Yeah.
You can't just appoint somebody like Anita and put them in there.
not anymore.
No.
Was she at least from the
Oh,
right
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
place?
Well, she was from the right place, just the wrong century.
All righty.
So we're done now?
Now we have to go into closed session.
Okay.
Anything else, Brian, you want to add before we move on?
I gotta.
I don't have anything to add. Over the next few weeks, we'll go through all of our comments and I'll start formulating
No, this is closed.
language from the legal department on how we could possibly change these, and we'll just continue to refine it and tweak it as we get through the process.
So you guys, once we do closed section, am I supposed to take minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, depending on, like, well.
We-
You can't really vote on anything in closed session.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think you need to necessarily take a minute. We can't publish the close, we wouldn't.
Then I don't want to take minutes. That's what I mean. I don't.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Okay.
it. No, because it's usually something with litigation or something about an employment or something we need to talk about, sensitive information. It's not.
Where do you buy those?
Anyway.
Do we announce we're going close? Sorry,
Not yet.
You gotta announce it.
I just wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. So we have completed everything on the agenda. And so now we will be going into closed session and open back up for adjournment. All right. Now let me go back into session. Does anyone have any other items they'd like to discuss? If not,
I think we covered everything I
Get a
wanted
motion?
to this today. I think we did a lot. We got through the code, so
So,
I make a motion to adjourn.
motion.
You know one-
Oh, you motion.
I motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll second.
Yeah.
The motion to adjourn.
all in favor? Aye.
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 We're adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.